signifying that there are infinite opportunities when you collaborate. When you collaborate and work along with all business groups, there is more to this infinity. There's more to this 8 that you see, which my team member will take through. But otherwise, before we get further into it, I would like to thank Narayanan Ramachandran, who helped us. He was a big impact on us. He was a game changer in the way we were thinking through. So a big thank you to him. And describing our logo, we have we tried depicting what an artist can typically do. It is plugging ourselves into the system. So, okay, it's plugging ourselves into the system. That's what we have tried depicting with the plug in the socket thing, because KPMG as a firm in itself is quite dynamic. Something that I work as a resource manager, it's not the same style which my other colleagues in the team work. I mean, the ones who are part of this event now, even they have their own style of doing. So for us, customizing is the key. And it's very important that we have a system in such a way that we can customize it and we plug ourselves into the system, into the business. That's what we keep telling whenever we have a conversation with the leadership. But tell us what you want, and we will customize our process accordingly. So that's the idea behind having the plug and the socket here. It's about we plugging ourselves into the system and then working along with them. The red color signifies the passion we bring, and the blue is about the reliability. And when the passion meets the reliability, we can do wonders, is what we believe in. The character that we bring is also signifying red and blue. That's the reason why 4 of our team members are in red and the other 4 are in blue. Just so we bring that character along with us with the way we dress up for this event. We are being very positive about the solution that we have come up with and the problem statement as well. As I mentioned to you a while ago, the 8 that you see, infinity that we have used it, there is more to it. And that will be described in detail. But I would quickly like to read out the names of my team members who are part of this. It's Akshat Jain, Anushri Chaturvedi, David Madhu, myself, Gayatri, Neha Menda, Shipra Chandra, and Smriti. So we will be taking you through. Each one of us will have a portion to talk, and we have a role to play. And from this step onwards, detailing the 8 that we have in our logo will be done by Swati. Will be done by Swati. So over to you.
Thank you, David. So here we bring to you a process that will not only stand strong today, but also in our coming times. And how do we do this? The only way that I could think, or my team could think to do this, was collaborate and connect beyond. And how do we do this? In today's time, what WFM is thought to be is just a facilitator between the requester and the requestee. But it is much more than that. We want to collaborate with 8 different business units who are part of our firm, and they become an integral part in the decision-making process. We don't want any team to work in silo, and then we want to become an integral part with the leaders, not only from a resourcing parameter, but also from a revenue perspective, how the business is looked at it. And those 8 units that will help me do this would be my business, clients, my human resource team, my learning and development team, my recruitment team, finance team, IT, and last but not the least, my operations team. Working with all of them help me solve the problem which I think is prevalent at this point in time and needs a quick action. So here's a short video for you showing what's happening in today's time.
Hi Shipra.
Hi Neha, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good too. Please tell me.
So Shipra, I have a burning requirement. I need 2 resources in a week's time, that too, with control testing and cybersecurity skills. For now, I would say the duration of this requirement will be 2 to 3 months. So do you have anybody available?
Neha, with the current availability, I don't see anyone immediately available for these skills. But if we have some time to plan the team members on this, we can look at it.
Not at all, because Shipra, this is a key client and we see multiple demands for these skills coming in. So we need to act immediately. if we may lose this opportunity to the competitors out in the market, then it may not work out for us. So let's look at the external options which are there.
In that case, Neha, let me also check with other business units and get back to you if they have any resource available with the required skill set. Will that work for you?
You can try your luck, Shipra, but I don't think it will work out here.
Hi Shipra.
Hi, Anusri. How are you?
I'm good. How about you?
All good, Anusri. Please tell me.
So Shipra, I'm foreseeing an increase in the demands for data sciences. I just wanted to check, do we have enough resources for deployment?
For data science, we do have certain extents as in some limited skill availability, but I see those people coming available only after 4 to 5 months from now.
No, I think 5 months, I don't think we can wait that long, else we'll just end up losing these opportunities in the pipeline.
In that case, Anusri, we have some resources on bench. So would you want to look at their profile once and see if any close matches can be cross-trained accordingly?
I'm not very sure, but maybe I'll just give it a thought. If you could just send me those profiles.
Sure, Anusri, I'll do that.
So did we just sense what was portrayed in the video, or what was the message which went around? So to elaborate, in the first scene, we see there is an existing client and an existing opportunity where the requirement is there, and we want to build on that requirement. It could be because there's a scope increase in the service that I'm rendering, or there is a chance that there are ad hoc requests in my client's place, and we need staffs to fulfill that. But on a contrary, and to the other side, I see there is a new requirement which is coming in. This is the way market is progressing. The market is opening up, and there are enormous opportunities lying ahead of us. So these were the two thoughts that kept running across, and there were concerns around this, saying that how do we plan much ahead in advance to fulfill the requirement which might come on our way in the coming time. We don't lose out anything. At the same time, I keep all my cost parameters in place from a firm's perspective. At the end of the day, my growth is dependent on firm's growth. And if I hold that baton of a resource manager, taking the ownership to fully utilize the resource to their best capacity with the skill and education that they hold, I wanted to leverage that out and do it. But how do I do it? KPMG is such a dynamic world, and so are any other consulting. We have people with various skills, various educational background, and various experiences that they come in. And that was a constant task. Our business is no more cyclic and requirement. Every time there's a new force that comes around my way. These were the thoughts, and that's how a problem statement was defined, which states, how do I tackle my skill crisis? How do I utilize or put a process in place wherein I can clearly call out or map my entire headcount, which is more than 30,000 at an India level, and see what are the skill sets wherein we are high on our skills and the skill sets where we need to grow. That's in all 8 of us started ideating, and there were 8 minds that worked together to find a solution to the problem that would lead KPMG to a better future, not just in the coming times, but also help sustain in the longer times. So here, here's my colleague and a friend, Smriti Jain, who will brief about the solution that we had thought to achieve. Over to you, Smriti.
Thank you, Swati. So the entire RM process is based on build, borrow, and buy. So as we see in the current scenario, that buy and borrow is the easy way out, which is hiring and subcontracting. Our solution today is based on the build aspect. So this is how. First is creating a skill repository or a skill inventory. A skill inventory can help align company goals with employee performance. While no one knows exactly what skills a workforce will need 10 years, 5 years, or even 2 years from now, it is clear that organizations and employees must be ready to adopt. So for this, first, we identified a target pool of resources, and these will be the people who are unutilized and the skills that are getting obsolete. Next, we seek advice from a leadership, because when companies have up-to-date understanding of skills, and talent of their workforce, leaders are armed with strategic data that can help in short-term as well as long-term goals. Next factor would be the business continuity factor. If one of the required skill employees are unavailable during the crisis, as was also shown in one of the videos that we presented, you can quickly identify employees who have the skills to step in through the skill repository method. Next would be the grading of the skills. We track skills that are consistently utilized and those not so much utilized, grading the proficiency level of the skills and the relevance of their the skills in the current job role of the employees. Then we identify employees which are missing important skills for their job and which ones need to develop greater proficiency based on this data that we collect. So this entire activity also has one more benefit, which is in the employee retention part. Skill repository can capture information such as employee interest and work preferences, which can be then utilized to allocate projects and also designing the career progression and the performance development for the particular employee. Now for this, the second step would be creating fungibility through upskilling. For this, we do market analysis and study industrial trends. We do skill counseling with the business leaders to understand compound growth rate, to understand where growth is exponential and where growth is linear, to build the bridge between the demand and the supply. For this, we collaborate with our L&D team and identify SMEs from our own firm who can give training or hire experts from outside. We can conduct classroom trainings, on-the-job trainings, something we also call as shadowing on projects, connecting employees with mentors, job rotation, which is employees moving employees between jobs, and job enlargement, which includes additional activities within the same level of an existing role. And the third aspect to the solution would be the governance part, which is maintaining the profile compliance. That is a discipline to keep updating the profile or the repository of the data to maintain its validation and sanitation. Encouraging employees for self-training by linking upskilling to rewards. Building a learning culture overall in the organization, which increases the employability for the employees. Now you will see a video presented by my team members of the change scenario post we implement the solution that I just briefed about.
Hi Nusri, hi Neha, how are you?
Hi Shipra.
Hi, so I actually just wanted to let you know we have done something very recently which you are also aware of, that we have undergone through an exercise of upskilling our workforce. So as a result of that, we now have 10 people who are upskilled and are ready to take up data analytics kind of assignments. So if you can share your current pipeline with me, maybe I can just, and where we can, kind of use these people, I would map them accordingly to your demands.
Thanks, Shipra. Thanks for updating us. But can I look at the profile? Because I just want to see if they don't match the criteria, or even if the opportunity doesn't convert.
No, sure, Neha. So I'll be definitely sharing the profiles with you, and regarding the conversion of opportunity. So what I'm doing is I'll be getting in touch with other stakeholders as well to find a best match for these profiles. So I think that where we'll be working out on that problem.
So Shipra, I'd say good that you called because I was actually pitching for a client with these skill sets and I was very unsure on the availability. So I think I'd really like to go through these profiles. If you could just share it with me, maybe I'll share my feedback with you.
Sure, Anushri. Thank you so much. And I'll be sharing profiles with you both, and I'll be putting up the skill proficiencies as well so that you can have that view.
Okay. Thanks, Shipra.
Thanks, Shipra.
So there has been a lot of progress from where we started and where we are headed with this skilling journey. With a constantly evolving role such as ours, it's not just about demand fulfillment or sharing data with a business, but we're also becoming advisors to them, playing a strategic role, from coming up with an out-of-the-box thinking, giving suggestions in an innovative way to deploy in new ways, drawing meaningful insights from the data that we present. The rigor that we bring to upskill and cross-skill our people, that's just immense. So saving cost by minimizing hiring and making sure that we use our current resources to optimum, which benefits utilization and revenue. We're also linking the skilling journey with rewards, which helps in building and giving a learning and growth culture. So with all of this, we are able to plan and forecast better, being ready for risks such as, talent shortage, skill deficit in the teams. We are really able to help in building a truly agile workforce.
And also, while we talk about agile workforce, we will be able to achieve one more thing, which is like by connecting beyond and collaborate. Because when we collaborate, that is when things start to move and happen. And it is just by bringing just a small but a key cultural shift as well, which make each and every employee responsible for their own careers, their own skills, and their own utilizations. So it is not about how we innovate as a team. It is about how business is accepting it. It is also not about how we design it. It is also about how they adopt it. And it is not about what the change is. It is about how they adjust with the change. And that is how we will be able to have a cultural shift, and from where we are to where we want to go. It is not just a change for one single person. It is the whole firm which is coming together to do this activity, to have a better view of what skills do we have and what skill do we possess to better cater to our clients. Just a small example, which every one of us have come through whenever we go out and we go out for a dinner or a lunch in a restaurant. Whenever we enter, we know what we want to have, or we have a menu to choose, right? So what happens is, and it is a similar kind of a scenario, and that is why I'm bringing up this example, that when you go as a customer and you want to order something and something is not there, while it is there on the menu, it is the person who is serving you who sells something which you don't want to have, which is not there in your mind, but a similar kind of a stuff which he's basically trying to sell you or trying to tell you by giving you a lot of options, saying that I can do multiple things with this dish. You tell me how do we customize it. Same way, the kind of skills we have, maybe the traditional way of doing resource management is to match apples to apples. While it is very easy to do that, but what we feel is that if we start upskilling people in a way that they are cross-utilized and the fungibility becomes very, very easy for any stakeholder, there is a repository of all the skills present, placed in one place, in one single go, and it will not only help us, just cater to the clients which we have and the requirements which we have. It will also help us to cater to the RFPs which we respond to, the proposals which we make, because the data which we present in those proposals and those RFPs is basically evolved all around skill. And if that data is correct and accurate, we can win anything in the market. I will sum up our narration of problem statement and solution by a very famous saying, which relates to the WFM group, because we all know that the kind of job we are doing, it is a very thankless job. People don't thank us because we are just taken for granted, and people think that we have to do this job. But there's a very famous saying which says that you will be remembered only for two things. One, the problem you solve. The other one is the problems you create. So we believed in solving a problem. Together, we did better. And collaborate by connecting beyond. Thanks. That was our submission.
Thanks, Steve. Judges, we may have some questions now. Yeah.
Sure. This is Vineet here. Collaborate, I think. Let me put it this way. Or team collaborate with an infinity placed horizontally. So I think two parts. First one, you talked about grading of skills, and I think Gayatri, you touched upon that aspect fairly elaboratively. Grading of skills, proficiency of skills, and then I think there was another segment of playing the strategic role. I think three broad constructs came out very, very passionately. The question is, this something that has already been modeled? If so, has it been played on a controlled environment? Or is it something that you have conceptualized in the hackathon yesterday and you are planning to do a deployment ahead?
Sure. So thank you so much for the question, Vineet. This is a combination of both. This was something that we, enhanced with the hackathon. But we did have a small portion of this idea that had come up. We had already started talking to the stakeholders. We had started connecting with the L&D team. With we are just starting to do the entire skilling exercise that we will be working on. So it's in a very, very initial stage at this point, but we have been having our conversations with all of the groups. We have been having our conversation with the stakeholders, like Swati mentioned, the 8 collaborations that we are doing. So that is in progress at this point in time. And we so far have been receiving some very positive response, because it is a current problem, and we have been having multiple, situations due to this crisis, and it's definitely something that is a current problem that we are trying to tackle.
And also one point to add to Gayatri's one, Vineet. So while whatever we built and whatever we thought of was in a very initial stage, when we started thinking of how basically we can go ahead and do the skilling part for the entire firm and not only for one function. So the concept of 8, the concept of infinity, it came up in this ideation, because when we were doing it, when 8 brains got together, we got to know that, okay, there are a lot of things which we can do. And that is when we got to know that, okay, when we can ideate with 8 minds, why can't we take all the teams together rather than just going by a traditional approach, which is top down. I'll go to a partner, I'll tell him that this is what I want to do. I'll prepare a presentation, I'll show it to them. They'll say, okay, whether I like it or not, modify it, tweak it. With this ideation, we got to know that rather than just reaching out to one single partner or multiple partners, let's just collaborate with all the teams and see what best we can do. And that is how we came up with this idea of having all the functions, all the teams together and not leaving anyone behind. Because when we talk about skilling, we usually tend to just think about people who are just client facing. But with this ideation, what we realized is that every single person in the firm is, even if they're not client facing, they are an asset to the firm. And we need to basically see that how best we can position them. And it is not only about, so for example, everyone says, and it is quite evident, then RM function or maybe other functions like operations, they're not revenue generating. But at this era, at this stage, Vineet and everyone, we are a revenue generating function, because if you talk about our numbers, for example, if I say that I started my year with a utilization of, let's say 70%, and if I have grown to a utilization of 8%, that margin of 8% is giving me NFR. It is not getting lost anywhere. So we came up with this idea to club together all the functions and teams and then go ahead and do it. And this came up in this ideation only. And a lot of guidance from Narayanan for sure.
Yes.
Not leaving the part. Yeah. Thanks.
Sure. Thank you. That was helpful. Akshat, I have a few more questions. Gayatri, Akshat, David, whichever way you want to respond.
Sure.
You may want to respond to more follow-up questions. So, when you say collaborate, was the collaboration from a concept standpoint? I'm conscious that it is still to be deployed, but from a concept standpoint, is it going to be on a platform? Is it going to be on mechanism and framework? Or is it going to be, pardon my words, lip service?
So I'll take that. So Vineet, it will be a proper process with a workflow. So when we say process with a workflow, not that I'll just start doing whatever I have with that. It will be a proper process. Let's say I know that what skills I have right now, but I don't have a repository. So what I'll do is we have a platform, we have an RM tool. We will not want that we should, start building up another tools and collaborating with those tools. What we have thought of is that while we were ideating that how best we can use our internal tool, how best we can, have a process in place wherein we can use the tool in terms of setting up a process that each and every employee in the firm who is there in that tool. When we are there, that is when we do a market analysis of skills which are there and plus the skills which we have and the skills which we want to build. And that is when we make a repository in a way so that people can try and choose the skills relevance with their capabilities in terms of whether it is primary, secondary, what level they are of those skills, to get that data in that particular system at once, maybe in bits and pieces, because we're talking about the whole firm and not just one function. But to get that data at one platform, we will build that process in place so that once we start doing it, we have everything in place. And once we end up, we should have a mechanism to validate the data as well.
As part of the hackathon, has the team been able to also arrive at some measure of success and criteria of success to determine that the collaboration is actually paving way? And if so, are there alert mechanisms, etc., that have also been debated and brainstormed by the team?
Yes, Vinit. Yes, we did come up with the smart solutions. I mean, the assessment is going to be how effective are we coming up with our recommendations and how are we giving the resources, and moreover, the managers will also be validating this. See, I mean, we just cannot say like whatever skill we get from the employees, the final verdict of it. We go to the manager, respective performance manager, seek their confirmation that yes, they acknowledge or they acknowledge the skill which the employee claiming that he has it as a skill. So it is required that managers approve it, and yes, it is getting implemented right way. And it's not just about the skill, Vinit, but we will also be looking at the proficiency level of it. And when we have every information in place, I mean, be it the proficiency level of it or the skill they have, and whether it's a mastery level or a beginner level or at an intermediate level. And in addition to that, how relevant is it to this job, to the current job? So when we collect this information, it's not going to be one time. I mean, it's not going to be one person doing all of it. The entire firm needs to give that information just so we stay accurate on this data. So when we collect all of this and when we have a system in place, I mean, it's going to be a 6 months kind of process wherein we will take a big bang approach of going all together with the help of leaders. We will go ahead and start working on it, but taking a small piece which we can certainly explore to start with, that can also be approached. But for the moment, I think going big bang will be ideal. In that way, everyone in the organization will be facing a similar kind of problem of giving this information. Not just the problem, but the challenge of giving this information just so we have everything in one place. So that's the success. The success measured will be on how good did we get the information, how much of it is useful, how are the managers acknowledging the data we have, and then the utilization of the skills is also important. So when to add a point to what Akshat, Gayatri have also raised to Vinit, I mean, when we have this entire repository in place, it's not just the vertical of looking at employees utilization, service line utilization, or sub-service line utilization. We can also see by skill what is the utilization. If someone has 3-4 skills along with him, I mean, what's the kind of skill utilization do we have, and how much of it is relevant in the current job? So if we create a dashboard, it would be an easy thing for us to review on a regular basis.
Correct. And just to add to what David said, it also really helps in a controlled hiring, which is the portion that we want to build bench, which is the portion where requirements are coming in more, which is the portion that we want to hire. And that's something that our entire exercise of collaboration really helps there. So our process is basically like a middleware, and we are collaborating with everyone in the business. We are integrating with everybody in the business to have this process, a success.
Sure. I have just one last question. Sorry if I have gone overboard in terms of asking the questions, but I need to get this fog cleared in my mind before I can arrive at a score. So
no problem. Sure.
We did talk of criteria-based conversion rate, Gayatri. I think that came out very passionately again. So from a measure of success perspective, did the team debate on when utilization was touched upon, right? But did the team discuss and debate on the conversion rate that one would want to target and arrive at? Number one. Number two, did the team debate and discuss on what is the time that will take for the repository to get formulated? Because I understand that there is going to be grading of skills. And secondly, proficiency level of skills are also going to be mapped and
correct.
So is that repository going to be taking some level of progressive time, or is it already available that needs to be fine-tuned?
So as we speak, Vineet, we have already started with the building a repository in that standpoint. We are reaching out to, all of our processes to see what are the different skill sets that are there in each section, each segment. And then based on that, we will have a collaborated skill system. We will cluster them, put them in one skill family. So we know that, okay, we will tag everybody to this skill family and say that, okay, these are the ones who will come under these skill families. And then based on that, for each skill, there will be different proficiencies, like David also touched upon. There will be different proficiencies if it is going to be a beginner, intermediate, or an expert. Apart from that, we will also have, if somebody has used it recently, if it is relevant for them to be using it on their job, if they have used it in, like the past 1 year, or they will be using it in the upcoming. So it's going to be there. Based on that, we would try and determine if it is going to be like a primary skill or a secondary skill. What is the relevance basically of that? And then this journey, like you asked, will also be somewhere between 3 to 6 months. That's the timeline that we're looking at, because we need to have everybody on the platform. We need to have, starting from our analysts to directors, we would want everybody on the platform to have it updated. And after that, we also want their managers to validate the whole thing, to make sure that everything is absolutely correct. So this is a journey, and of course an ongoing one also.
Like I said, on a contrary, someone has a mastery in a skill, but it's not getting utilized.
Well, we're 44%, 24 in the
queue. We can certainly explore a possibility of seeing, is there a possibility for us? I mean, if his mastery skill is not getting utilized in this particular one, we can explore it in another service line and see how best can we leverage that skill aspect.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you. I don't
just
have
one
any
question. Just one question, if I may. Great concept here, guys. And good presentation. Just one thing that I wanted to check with you was, in a skill-based environment, one of the pitfalls is your turnover. Did you guys give it a thought about that? And any challenges that you foresee? Because it's a gradual process. Any one skill getting missed out in between, or your lack of skills can derail the whole chain itself. So any thoughts around that as well?
So if I may take this. Yes. Yeah. So Satya, what we're planning to do is that before getting onto a skill repository, we are trying to see first that what all skills do we have in the firm. Let's say if I say that I have PL/SQL and someone else says that they know Java or Python or whatever, we basically are trying to do a skills survey within the firm to know what all skills do we have. Once we have that survey, we will make sure that while we are preparing and making the skill repository, all those skills are categorized in a way that everyone should know, everyone should have an option to choose the relevant skills. Plus, we will do a market survey also with the help of our recruitment team. That is why we will collaborate with them to see what all skills are there in the market and what all skills we can, basically provide to our team members also in terms of upskilling, cross-skilling. And we make sure that with the combination of what we have as a market analysis from the recruitment team, because they are the ones who go out in the market and hire on the basis of demand. So on those lines, when we have the market analysis and we have the analysis within the firm, we will combine those and see what are the common skills we are talking about. And the ones which stands out, we will keep them in a repository. And also the ones where we don't have duplication, we will keep them as well, because that is something which our colleagues, which our teammates have chosen for them in the survey. And that is how we'll build the skill repository, so that before we go to the employees to ask them to fill their proficiency skill, we have everything in place in a drop down for them to choose and then the managers to validate.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And just to add, Satya, on Akshit's point, this is the culture change that we are looking up for. So this is something which will be new and bring in new opportunities for the employees itself. So given a chance to me, I would like to stick to an organization in where I am now and explore, enhance on my skill, and then take up more opportunities which is on my way, rather than wanting to go out just because I couldn't explore myself better.
Thank you.
Okay, team. They say picture speaks 1,000 words, but without having any slides, I would like to say that great presentation, because the way you used video to convey the idea that you guys were trying to deal with and come up with solutions, and also is very, very commendable. I mean, it's innovative. I think this is, well, the way you guys have presented it is also very innovative. So one quick question I have. You mentioned about the programming upskilling program and also recognition program. So do you already have a similar program in place for it existing in the organization, or you plan to come up with it going forward as part of this as in a hackathon?
So we don't have a system in place at this point, because you also mentioned about rewards. So that's something that we would want to bring in, because as and when we have people who are upskilling, we would want to share that, okay, these are the people who have like a recognition, like a wall of fame sort of a thing, something around that we are still designing and thinking about, collaborating with our leaders to see what best can be done in terms of that. In terms of so that's still being discussed. But yeah,
that's
but
an
the
area
leaders
which
are absolutely bought in. That's something that we've already discussed with the leaders, and they're absolutely in. They're completely bought in regarding this. Sorry, David, you were adding.
Okay.
No. I was just saying that it's just that's one area which we need to explore further. But that's at the designing phase of it when we are conceptualizing the entire thing. But the leaders are bought in onto this, so it should be just matter of time when we start going ahead with. When we have the next hackathon, we can as well share the results of it if only we have information around it.
Sure. Okay. So I think apart from the recognition, I think if you can tie it up with some metrics to show the improvement in utilization and all that also, I think maybe the cost savings because of not hiring, but using the existing set of resources, I think that will help the leadership to also buy in. Okay. So hopefully we'll get to see those in the next hackathon, you guys, like you guys said.
Absolutely.
But that's definitely a part of the plan, Raghunandan. So that's definitely something that we would want to do.
Okay. Sure.
Thank you so much for recognizing our efforts.
Yeah.
Thanks, KPMG team. Do you have any more questions?
Shiva, I have just one last thing, Akshat, here before we sign off. So I just wanted to call this out. So while we talk about collaborate, the logo which you see, so it is on one of our team members' daughter's whiteboard. So she also collaborated with us and gave us her whiteboard to use for about 2 days to ideate and see what all best we can do. And she helped us actually. So I just wanted to call that out.
Yeah,
no problem. We'll rate her also on the collaboration piece. We'll ensure we give her some marks for that.
Sure. Thank you so much.
She'll be delighted.
Yeah.
Thanks, Shiva.
Thank you. Thanks
Thank you so much for the platform.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Have a good evening.
Thanks, everyone. All the best. Now, can we have the system on the screen? All right, I think we can get started. All right, the system, all the best.
Thank you. So, good evening, everyone. So this is Raghu, and I'll be taking through the entire presentation on behalf of my team, and even have my team with me, where they will, take up opportunity to speak up regarding the fixators. So first of all, I would like to thank Dr. Shiva for bringing this hackathon, and collaborating each and every company, and sharing their ideas and the thought process. So thanks for that, Dr. Shiva and the GWFM forum. So let's get in then. So this the entire process and the project has been submitted by Raghunandan, that's myself, and we have Sumaya Naz, Damodar TN, and Sohani Egde as our team members. And now each and every team members will have a one word of sentence with all you guys.
Hello all, this is Sumaya. For this project, I came up with the thoughts of showcasing the project in a different way, where you all will be witnessing it in the upcoming slide. Thank you.
Hi, this is Damodar. I transformed Sumaya's concept of presenting differently by adding colors to it.
Hi, Suhani here. I worked on how to make the results more attractive for our internal stakeholders. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. And I would like to add an additional, thanks to our mentor, who's Radhika Narangmalya, who is in touch with us since last 2 days and gave, our insights and inputs to make this happen in a better way, and, improvising wherever it's required, right? So, and the content of this program today is, I'm going to explain the logo design and the project, and we have termed our project as Project Zeus. So Zeus is nothing but is a a Greek god of weather, right? So I will tell you the intent of keeping this name and what's the main reason behind this wording, right? Any questions still here? Thanks. So this is the logo design and how we evolved on a logo, right? So when Shiva announced that yes, there is an hackathon and we don't know what was the process, what we need to do, what we need to come up with an idea, what's the not, right? Then when we came out, when Shiva came out with the skeleton, like this is what we need to do. Okay, then the first thing is, okay, let's have a logo for our team, right? Then we had a different set of brainstorming sessions on how our designing should happen and what is the meaning which each of the logo will carry, the part of the logo. And that's how we evolved. So first what we done is we did a freehand skeleton sketch, then we added colors into it, and then we transformed our logo into 2D digital, right? And we call our team and the logo name as WFM Illuminators. And the significance of logo, if you see the logo, right, you can see the D and S on the left and right side, right? That signifies the company, which is their system, right? And the flame in the center signifies the glowing example. So everything, whatever you do, it should be a glowing example, right? So it might be within the team, within the organization, or within the community. So it should be a glowing example so that people can take away from that and, they can start implementing that, right? And the birds on the both side, again, on top of the D and S, signifies that we need to always aim to fly high. And apart from that, we need to also always think outside the box for innovation, right? So when we think outside the box, that's when the innovation strikes the mind. So that's where, we can deliver better things. We can, innovate better things, right? And the doom on the top signifies that WFM as a support function, it's an umbrella for any organization, right? Which always acts as a loss preventer by bringing in efficiency in the system and reducing the operating costs. So when we do all those stuffs, definitely, there will be an increase in the revenue, right? And the team name WFM Illuminator signifies finding light within the darkness. So why I'm saying this, because I address light as a solution and darkness as a problem statement, right? So that is the whole significance of the logo. So next is the project Zeus. And this is, we have, bifurcated this into 4 different phases. Now, first phase is the define, second phase is the explore, implement, and then see the result, right? Now what is my business case? So business case here is how to mitigate the scheduling challenges during the monsoon and natural calamities or any uncertainty in the current work from home model. Any question? Thanks. So why I choose this as a business case and a problem statement is their system as a company, we are operating from Western Ghats, right? So Western Ghats in India is the second largest rainfall area after Cherrapunji in Meghalaya, right? So when monsoon hits, the entire things in the work from home model will get distracted. So how best we can come out of this problem statement is what we are thinking to explain and take you through this project. Now, what is the problem statement? So challenges in achieving the service level or turnaround time, meeting the revenue targets, productivity, and customer satisfaction. Now, at the end of the project or the process, you will see the goal statement as improved revenue, service level, turnaround time, productivity, and CSAT. So I'm just saying it's improved, right? I'm not saying that I'm giving a complete solution model here, or I'm not saying that I'm going to mitigate the problem statement. I'm saying that I will give a step up. Okay, if I'm doing it 3, I will come back to 2, right? I may not come back to 1, but at least there will be some improvement in that. Now we started exploring, right? So now I'll explain you, there are 2 different diagrams in this sketches in this page, and all the sketches, it's handmade and then transformed into the PPT, right? We took a copy of it, we scanned it, and we just uploaded into the PPT. So it's all handmade drawings. Now the left side situation is the before the COVID. or if I want to, go back a year before March 2020, right? So everything was normal. Everyone used to come to office, and all the metrics were, in place. You name the metrics. You name the metrics like SLA, productivity, CSAT, right? So everything were in place, and definitely in office also we'll be having some challenges, but not to the level that we are facing today, right? And the second diagram on the page is, what if the first location goes down? So now multiple companies have their BCP location, right? If the site 1 goes down, site 2 will start operation, not to a complete 100% protection, but at least they will have their contract defined that you need to operate with this percentage of staff, and you need to keep the business running as usual, right? So that is what the BCP plan is. So these two plans were really working good for us before COVID, and we never knew that there is something like COVID is going to hit us, and the entire country will get into the lockdown. Not only the country, right? At a global level, everyone were in chaos. We don't know what to do. So we were completely into new normal, as we keep saying, right? So the new normal is a new normal, but it did not, it gave us a very challenging situations to learn and come up really out of those problems that what we are facing during that last 1 year, right? Now, the second thing, right, after COVID struck and the lockdown, and people started moving to work from home mode because the office were locked down. Nobody were allowed to get into the office premises, so everyone started working from home. So that's what I've shown here. The first diagram on the top is office, and nobody is going there, but everyone started working from home, right? So that is still we are exploring. Now the actual implementation problem arises last year, because as I told you, we were running into a problem because we just moved working from home. There was a lot of problem, the manpower, coverage and all, right? So in Western Ghats, as I told you, we have a heavy rainfall time between June to August, right? So I'm not saying it's only rainfall. So this is applicable for all those companies operating from tier 2, tier 3 cities, or the small and the mid-range companies, right? The MNCs definitely will have their own model where they can have their models ready by the time. But companies like Dia Systems, companies like where we are operating out of 15 to 22,000 headcount. So we don't have that caliber. We don't have that potential to showcase the big pictures, right? So for us, this problem is a big thing, right? So when monsoon hit, we ran into chaos because people were not able to log in properly. They were not able to give productivity. We ran into billing loss. The client were giving us bamboozles because we are not able to meet service levels. So everything was problematic for us, right? That's where we thought what would be a solution for this, right? Because as long as we are operating from this Western Guard, the problem keeps continuing, right? Now we need to come out. It's not that I'm going to shift my base location from all my agents location across Western Ghats to around Bangalore or somewhere in Delhi or Mumbai. No, I can't do that, right? So now this is applicable for all kind of conditions. So that's why we have shown this snowstorm. For example, a month back, US ran into a horrible snowstorm, right? So there was no power cuts, there were no water, and there was a couple of problems there, right? But the entire, as a country, they did not run into that problem, right? There was a couple of parts in the country where definitely it was hit into a worse period. So that's where we have this kind of planning in place so that we can keep a sustainability model, right? And the other thing what we have added is a sandstorm, right? So wherever in the deserted countries, they will have a sandstorms, right? We can implement this, right? Now, how we can implement? So all we know that we are doing agents-based scheduling, we are doing skeleton-based scheduling, right? So, but what it is, it's not working for us. So we need to do something different on the scheduling that will, yield us some better results, right? So that's what we came up this plan. We started doing a weather forecast, right? It looks new, or most of the companies might have been doing it, because Satya told a very good, words and sentences in the morning that whatever the, our teams presenting here today, most of the companies would have done it 10 years back, right? Outdated. So, but for us, it's a new, because we did not encounter this since last 17 years. we did not get into that situation, but yes, last year we did see that, right? So now that's the solution model we're thinking out. So integrating of weather forecast into the scheduling process. That's what we are planning, that's what we have done actually, and we saw a result last time, but we need to do that into a fully fledged process during this monsoon, right? And I'm sure that we are going to come out with flying colors. Now, how we are going to do that? Bifurcation of the regions based on the associate's home location. Further, drill down the impact factor throughout the day. Not only like you're doing a weather forecast for a day, but throughout the day, right? And we were able to cover up a network covering up to 510 kilometers, which is equivalent to around 317 miles, right? And if you see the table below, that is the geographical area where our agent base or associate base is located, right? I mean, most of you would have known these locations, but these are the locations, right? Each box is a location with some kilometers range, right? And then we classified the day and night into 3 legends. One is the impact factor based on low, medium, and high. And we give them what does each legend and impact notify. Low is nothing but it's a clear sky. We don't have any impact. Medium is nothing but cloudy with light rain and thunderstorms. High is nothing but you're gone. So it's a rain and thunderstorm. I mean, you will really get into the problem, right? Now, how can you integrate this with scheduling is the picture, right? I have my weather forecast. I know that yes, tomorrow afternoon or evening it rains heavily. But how will you, sustain this model with the scheduling process, or how will you integrate that with the scheduling process? Now that's come the next picture. The scheduling process, how we are going to integrate with weather forecast, right? So now I'm going to match A and B. Now I have scheduling, I have weather, and before that, please keep in mind I've already done my forecast, volumetric forecast. I know how many people I have, I know shrinkages. That part I'm not talking about here, right? I'm just talking how to balance the scheduling so that I meet a good service level, right? Not meeting service level or a good service level. There are 2 things. Now I will break my entire associate base into 3 types. One is the frontline warriors, next one is the secondary warriors, and the third one is the work from home. Work from office. And I will match that with the weather condition of low, medium, and high, which is shown in the previous slides, right? Now, if I want to consider, I will first explain what is that schedule types are. Now, frontline warriors are the associates with good home office setup that includes a good power backup and ISP connection without interruptions, right? To note that point. Now, secondary warriors are those associates with minimal interruptions, and work from home office are those associates who will volunteer to work from office due to non-working conditions from their home office, right? Even in our geographical area, we have a couple of places where if it rains, the entire location goes down, right? So those kind of set of people have to come to office so that they can keep their productivity up and running, and the process will get into a healthier stats and all, right? So now we're going to schedule them based on the impact factors. Now frontline warriors will have a maximum scheduling during the high impact because I will be getting best productivity out of them, right? The second priority will be given to the medium impact, and wherever it is low impact, I'm not going to have frontline warriors, because for me, ideally frontline warriors are required where there is high and medium impact. Now the secondary warriors, I will give a more preference where there is a medium impact and low impact, but I will make sure that I won't schedule, or I will have a minimum schedule where there is a high impact, because for them, even though there is a minimal interruption, that can get into a trouble, right? And work from office will be the people who cannot work at all, so which is in high impact area or medium or low impact area, and they have to start working from office, right? Now, how can we do that? Now, this is a pain area. It's not that, and my monsoon period runs for about 2.5 months to 3 months, right? So how can I ask my frontline warriors to give best for continuous 3 months, right? Even though 3 months is a big period. And if I am an agent or an associate, and if my WFM team asks me or the operations team asks me to work for continuous night shift for continuous 3 months, no, I can't do that, right? So then it's like I'm cheating, right? I'm not giving their work-life balance. Maybe I might be violating some, HR policies, 7-day violation policy will be violated, right? There might be things. So how can I make sure this model will yield a better result, right? So this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to motivate the production people. How? By incentivizing them, by injecting a different kind of award category. I know all the companies will have award categories, right? So here we will have a award category for that period, especially during the monsoon period, and maybe we can have an award called as monsoon champion or golden umbrella award, something like that, right? And the third option is a split shift. Now everyone knows in the industry that split shift is a high risk, because the person who turns on one time, there are high possibilities that he won't turn on the next time, I mean next half of the shift, right? But split shift, we need to be taken extra precautions, and there should be a bonding, there should be an agreement between those folks, so that split shift will become a good model during the monsoon period, where we can operate during the high and the medium impact season, and we can get a better result out of that, right? And the lastly, the result is, I'm not saying I'm eliminated the problem here, but I'm damn sure, and I'm sure that I'm going to see an improved performance in terms of service level, in terms of productivity, in terms of customer satisfaction, and definitely in terms of revenue. Whatever we're doing today, we are doing for the revenue, right? We're doing for the profit. So if there is no profit, I mean, whatever you do, nothing is there. So either the work you do, there should be two things is what I believe. One is either you save the time or you save the cost. If the project doesn't yield both of this, then I believe that's gaining nothing. Right? So this is the result. And finally, I'm concluding this, and I'm thanking each and everyone with this thank you slide.
Thanks, Raghu. And now judges may ask questions.
Hey guys, this is Jay. So is this something that you have already started having discussions with your stakeholders? And if so, what was the feedback, some apprehensions or anything like that you guys have run into?
Yeah, Jay, I'll just answer the question. So last time, if you see this, right, especially this slide, if you see the date range here, this was for last year, right? We already started this process because the monsoon started in June, and we were sitting blank for June and July because we were not knowing what to do. We implemented this model during the end of the monsoon, right? And even we discussed that with the operations, we discussed with our leadership, and we started publishing a weekly weather forecast from until the monsoon ends, right? And we did a little integration, not a fully fledged integration, and our leadership and operations were fully with us. And this time, pre-monsoon, we are going to start this plan, and we'll have the entire plan ready before monsoon hits us.
So how do you integrate this in your planning process or your different meetings that you might be having on weekly and monthly basis with the teams?
Yes. So here we follow a weekly schedule, right? So what we do is we will have a weekly operational meeting with all the operational leads, and we are going to take them through that. Okay, this is what the condition looks next week, because ideally the frontline warriors, secondary warriors, work from office, their operations, right? They need to agree to that. So we will get into agreement, and we will identify who are those set of people who will be the frontline warriors and the second line warriors and the people working from office, right? So blindly speaking, or with the stats that I have with me from the last year, we have around 40% staff who is lined up in the frontline group, right? So I don't have any problem in that. And we are going to do a deep dive this year, and we have started the process already. And we are going to streamline and come out with more ideas of how to keep this plan open and implement in a wide range for all the processes.
Got it. Thank you. Looks like a good plan.
So Raghu, hi, this is Vineet here.
Hi, Vineet.
There's a lot of power in simplicity, and I really must compliment you and the entire team that has taken the elementary concepts of design thinking to a elated level. So thank you for that. I also like the aspect of 510 kilometers. I mean, that level of granular detailing that has been brought about, right, in terms of the network coverage. How big a problem was magnified? One, since you stated that last year towards the end of monsoon is when you had developed and built the model. As you came into the hackathon, what was the magnification of problem and the quantification of solution that got generated as a result of being part of the hackathon process?
Yes. Firstly, hackathon gave a wide hand for us to, magnify the problem what we faced, because for us, we know what the problem statement was, right? Because we gone through that situation and we had a solution in mind last year and we built that to some extent and we saw a good result, right? But we wanted to, magnify and keep this as a big solution and implement this so that, we get a better results. So now before last 2 days when hackathon came and we got an idea that, okay, what we need to have. Are we going to showcase what we have done in the past, or are we going to showcase something we are going to do in future, right? So for us, options are limited because we are not a large scale company. We don't have, open hands. We don't have options open, right? So whatever it is possible from our end to implement and show the result, because tomorrow, Vinith, you can ask me, Raghu, post monsoon this year, show me the results, what you have done, right? I should be in a position to showcase, yes, Vinith, this is what the results are, right? So without result, it is like building a cock and bull story, which I don't want to do that, right? So I think I answered your question.
If you insist, yes, sure, absolutely.
Thanks, Vinith.
Yeah, I don't have any other question.
Hey, Raghu. Thanks. Been a very innovative idea to integrate both the weather and the resource locations and the geographical spread to address the issue that you guys saw last year. Just a quick question. Do you plan to use any automated tools for this integration, or do you have any existing WFM system which you plan to customize so that you don't have to do a manual like you are currently showing spreadsheets, right? So any thought process to automate this whole process for this year?
I thanks for that, Ranga. But as I told you, right, we are a very small range company, so we don't have that open hands to invest more for the WFM. So we do have some tier 2 and tier 3 EWFM tools, not like as such as Aspect or Verint or Genesis or something like that. So whatever the effort we are doing, so we are going to put it on Excel only. And we do have some scheduling templates, we have some scheduling tools as well, but there is no tool where I can integrate this level of expertise. So we are doing that on Excel and we are building that prototype actually now, so that it should sustain actually. So this model should sustain, right? So tomorrow I should not ask my scheduler to do 3 days of work instead of doing one day of work what they're currently doing, right? I don't want to increase that workload. So we are building that prototype of integrating these two models into one on Excel in a best possible way. So maybe we should be hopefully able to complete that by this month, because we will run into the pre-monsoon anytime by mid of May. So we need to have our templates, our plans, everything up and running by end of April.
Okay, thank you. But I really appreciate the simple idea that you guys have and trying to take it to a next level. Really very innovative.
Thanks.
Yeah, Raghu, I would want to compliment you on that. Very simplistic approach, and the presentation comes across very honest approach in that. So that was clearly evident in that. Just some food for thought here. I did hear that you guys are still working on building some tools and don't have luxury of several tools there. But I've seen a couple of places where when you onboard an agent, okay, all that information that you gather, you can use that information right at the onset, and people are using Google Maps and things like that, which are available free, to map that information right on the location itself, which is very handy, and that can be integrated with any Excel sheets now. So which eventually you can use for creating your flexible schedules or creative schedules. So that could be something that you may want to use, or you may want to look at it. You may have already seen that already. So, try and see if that helps you a little bit. But I do have a question also. This is very creative way of mapping every agent on who's gonna be impacted or has a probability of getting impacted more. But this is only a mapping of people. How does I may have missed, and how does that really actually help you if you have 30-40% of your population which is actually in the red zone? Then what do you do? This is only marking who may be impacted, right? So that doesn't really eventually solve your problem of how are you going to manage your service levels for the day, or how many interactions you'll be able to answer. So maybe if you want to elaborate on that a little bit, would help.
Yeah, correct. So with that, internal base analysis, so we are able to map 40% of the population, right? So my gut feeling, Satya, here is being a tier 2 city. So Mangalore is a tier 2 city where accessibility to most of the things is very minimal, right? So being in a cities like Mangalore, if we can match up 40% of our workforce in the frontline category, so there are multiple companies who are operating from Bangalore, the same range, same scale, right? So Bangalore, I think that frontline percentage will not be lower than 40 is what I believe. So they will be at minimum 50 to 60%, or much more higher than us. Even in that case, it might be 1 to 2% also, right? So the flexibility or the limitation will be only applicable for the people who are operating from cities like us, right? Or maybe in that case, right, US went into snowstorm. So there was one state which was completely down, right? So no network, no water, nothing. So in those areas, definitely nothing can be done, right? This model doesn't work properly, but at least we can able to rethink and reschedule our workforce in such a way that we can try to increase our frontline percentage always to or and above 40%. That's what I feel that's a healthy percentage.
Thanks, Raghu.
Yeah, and then one more thing, Satya, here is, as we know that the work from home model is not going to end soon, right? So as per the industry analysis and all, it's going to continue for about next 1 or 2 years down the line, right? So this would be a long-term problem. So now for me, it's only monsoon, but for other regions, they will have a seasonality of different other things, right? So for example, some regions might have snowstorm during first 2 months, next regular months, then again, they will run into a rainy season, monsoon, right? So we need to at least think about realigning our hiring structure, right? When we are placing hiring requests, all WFM does is, I need 15 people, in the month of June to be added into the business, right? So why can't we give an additional input to hiring team that, if possible, out of 15, keep at least 8 as a frontline location agents, next 4 to a secondary, and last 1 or 2 into a work from office mode, right? So again, this is an integration of the entire process into a hiring process. I mean, this is my thought process into a next level, but we cannot have that implementation right now. Maybe we can use this as an idea.
Thanks, Raghu.
Thanks, Satya.
Do we have any more questions from the judges?
No, Shiva, I'm good. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Daya System. Thanks, Raghu. All the best.
Thanks, Shiva.
Thank you, Shiva.
Thanks, everyone.
Next, we had, let's go ahead with it. Yes.
Hey, good evening, all. Thanks for your time. And esteemed judges, thanks for your time and thanks for the patience. Shiva, fantastic initiative. Hackathon, first time, WFM Hackathon. Great. So I'm just going to start off with the team name, AGS WFM Quest Pirates, on a mission to disrupt and transform WFM. The bulb on the rising sun are the eternal symbols of ideating and positivity. And then the people holding hands together is collaboration. So the team names are there, and our team mentor is Nirmalya. Moving on to the goal statement. I mean, rather than the problem statement, I just wanted to make it a goal statement here. That's what we discussed as a team. So the goal is to transform forecasting and planning with innovation and technology. So that's the goal we want to chase and achieve. It's transforming of forecasting and planning. Existing traditional methods, existing methods are robust, and we have a robust quantitative plus qualitative forecasting methodology and approach. We have a detailed and optimized capacity planning approach, right? How transforming that is the goal statement here. Moving on, this is the executive summary, the need of the R for transformation. In the current scenario of pandemic and uncertainty, extreme uncertainty sometimes, organizations need to shape a responsible course of action, right, that balances short-term pressures of costs, margins against the medium-term to longer-term needs. The medium to longer-term needs are like, holding on to our skilled employee base, right? And then investing in the right technology, even at this time, concentrating on growth when profitability and maintaining or protecting our margins is more important at this point of time. I believe this is a defining leadership moment where we have to continue to deliver the best possible outcomes to all our stakeholders. Stakeholders would be customer, clients, right? The shareholders, the suppliers, and more importantly, our employees, right? And as always, labor cost and productivity will determine if an organization is competitive, profitable, and serving its customers well. This was needed, but I believe the pandemic is a catalyst for immediate business transformation. And as always, WFM is a vital torchbearer. So we have concentrated on two areas for this transformation. The goal is to infuse innovation and technology to transform the existing aspects of WFM, that is forecasting and capacity planning. So I call this the golden triangle. I mean, in our business, this is the most important thing. We have to balance and achieve customer experience, CX, bottom line, maximize the revenue, lower the costs. That's the bottom line. Employee satisfaction. I mean, we need to ensure employee engagement, motivation, employee motivation. That's pretty important. And the employee satisfaction, right? And growing existing business and new logos is as critical as the current scenario, right? So I will pass this on to my team member, Sridhar, who is going to take us through the enhanced forecasting approach. Sri, over to you.
Thanks, Mahesh. So from the transformation that we are talking about, team, here is a transformation from a contemporary method of forecasting to a design thinking approach with the help of new technologies. So that is the transformation. And the real stakeholders for us is that it is the organization HGS, the clients of HGS, and the employees of HGS. This is exactly what is going to turn over the entire gamification. So to moving on, if I look at how am I trying to define this entire thing, is my current status is that I'm already at a very, very optimal level of forecasting accuracy, but this is more involving the human time. But we want that technology to take over the most of the human time, and then the human time can be used for betterment of the rest. So that is the reason, that is the transformation that we are talking about. And also, why do we want to go? And the desirable or aspirational stage is that we would like to leverage the technology over here. And what part of technology is ARIMA, multiple temporal aggregation, and through Minitab and the VB coding and the existing cost-effective methods. So when we are trying to do this, while we have already used the quantitative and qualitative aspects, the transformation is for modeling, creating a sustainable model using VB codes and the alternate AI tactics. And it is more important for us to ensure that the changes that we are trying to look at, that is the impact percentages, where we look at the historical data and keep it as a warehouse wherein we can refer to them whenever and wherever is required so that we can enhance the forecast accuracy. Now, where do you want to use this particular forecast model? Which model that we would like to, dwell on that part little higher is that, we would like to take it for a multiple temporal aggregation, which is one of the latest models that are available, and also try and work on VB coding and for data retrieval and data analysis part of it, and then use inflow, which is to a near real-time data, which can help us tweak our forecast to the higher accuracy. This is exactly the transformation that we are talking about. To ideate this particular one, moving on, what kind of prototypes? I don't want to limit myself to just a contact forecasting, but I would like to actually go ahead a step more and say we would like to have this kind of a AHT forecasting done, because most of this, either be it AHT, be it shrinkage, attrition, or training throughput, or a fill rate, these are more human-driven results. So that is where exactly we would like to take this particular one level up. We're telling that, and more so during this work from home situation, there are no a right kind of monitoring systems in place, all the organizations. So this is more important for us to ensure that there is a so now here from the AHT perspective, we would like to concentrate more on the learning curve aspects and getting a call mix, different types, and getting the impact of CRM changes, and then evaluate the impact into what is going to happen to AHT. That is the kind of innovation that we would like to enhance on. So moving on, if I look at my shrinkage and attrition in a forecast, this is again more of an agent behavior that we need to forecast. Historical trends are always there with us, but here it is more of an agent behavior. How does he take a leave? Does he take a leave on weekly or just near to the weekly off? Is it that soon after salary there is an attrition going high, or is it like he takes NCNS continuously? What kind of impact is it bearing on the entire staffing model? All this has to be actually considered while we look into the input. That is exactly why we are saying that there is an employee engagement factor resolving the data. So this is something that we would like to take one notch up about looking at employee satisfaction surveys and categorize the employees who are the probable at rates, get into RAG and other important systems to move on. Now, the same way, if I look at the training throughput and the fill rates, the training throughputs and fill rates are quite interrelated. So it is more important for me to look at how a trainer's performance is impacting on my training throughput, along with batch by batch training throughput historical data. However, it is more important for me, how is that my work at office and work at home scenarios are also impacting in nowadays, because people do not have a trainer who is actually physically monitoring them. How is exactly that duration getting impacted? All these kind of inputs are being looked at, and when we are trying to look at, this is the kind of leveraging that we want to go by. So going to fill rate, we have one more scenario which we're trying to look at as of now, is that the historical data of location-wise, site-wise information and geo impact on the fill rates. What kind of talent pool is there in which area? What are the places where we can really go ahead and pick the the employees for? So these are some of the impactful additions that we want to go ahead and enhance our forecasting capabilities on. So how do we want to do is something that we have put on the forecast engine. Like currently what we have is a robust mechanism which has the earlier contemporary attempts that we have done already on Excel. However, we would like to now take impact on forecasting activity into Minitab and the Power BI. Power BI has a very good analysis setup, but how do I take this analysis output into my Minitab and then to Excel and ensure that the the AI part is embedded into my forecasting entire engine is what we are getting into. And the measurement of this particular forecast, currently we are just measuring in terms of forecast accuracy, bias, and also the MAPE part of it. But we would like to go ahead and see and put measures in place that if I had a what if scenarios and triggers, which will tell me about why exactly I have to do this particular activity, and then give an insight as to, okay, your seasonalities were not in the way it was supposed to be distributed. So go ahead and redistribute. So that might definitely help me in terms of increasing my, the forecast accuracy. Now, the current methods that I'm using are like we are using a time series, a quantitative methods. But what we would like to aspire to do is that we want to go ahead and put most of these Excel-based activities and human intervention back into VBA and macros, try and utilize that extra time for enhancing the quality of the forecast. So if I have to, rightly say, it is more of, enhancing the capability of the current scenario. Now, and not limiting to just the contacts, I would like to enhance it back for go to the next level of throughput, fill rate, shrinkage, attrition, all these, and have this entire package stored into the DBMS or database, which are not costly, but they are more cost sensitive, and we can make use of that and try and see how these scenarios from Google, the search engines that we use, and try and take information can be stored and try to make take the advantage of bigger data. Moving on to this, by enhancing my process, what am I going to be getting, or what is the value add that will the organization is going to get, is that it's an easy identification of trends and patterns, which will help us improvise on my forecast accuracy, handling multi-dimensional data, very important and very critical, because when I Google, the Google may not give me a numeric value. It might give me sentences, but I need to know what is that translating into. So if I have to have multi-dimensional and multi-variety data, there has to be a system which can analyze and give me the impact. Now, this will also enable me to take a decision basis on scenarios, what if scenarios that I was talking about, and the cost-effective models, not going for high-end neural networks or anything, but yes, definitely leveraging on those concepts through the existing VB codes and VB macros, the available databases, we could do this. And that would really help us looking at higher accuracy, resulting in increase of revenue and cost optimization part of it. But having spent time on entire activity, what is actually going to be resulting is this, which is a very good, well-informed, I'm again repeating, it's well-informed, accurate demand, which has a seasonal prediction, observations, comments, which can impact, and that can be handed over to the capacity planning team, which will really get a just-in-time staffing in place. Thank you. Just over to you.
Thank you, Shri. Good evening, everyone. So I'm here to talk about the second most critical and integral part of the WFM lifecycle, which is capacity planning. All of us today do capacity planning in each of our areas. All organizations do capacity planning. Everybody has, all clients have been supported with the capacity planning process. We do it in a more focused on demand and supply optimization approach with the traditional way of, Excel-based planners today. I'm pretty sure some organizations have, excelled from the Excel or moved technology, but our aspiration is to take this to the next level with the help of the technology available in hand today. What we want to do is, bring in some automation in the existing capacity planning process by minimizing, manual intervention, because intervention today manually is equating to approximately about 25% of the hours that the workforce team or the planners are spending today. So by reducing that, our workload can reduce, and we can gain some reduction in the WFM FTEs, which would be a cost saving. In addition to that, the technology platform would help us bring better visibility, presentation, visualization, and analytical views on the capacity planning side of the WFM cycle, because I don't think more that exists today at large in the organizations. And most importantly, the alerts. Hiring is one of the most critical part for capacity planning and for the operations delivery as well. So if we don't raise the requisitions with recruiting team on time, if we don't plan with the training team on time, we don't have the resources coming on board in time. So what we want to do is, moving on to the next slide, we want to apply a dynamic or a just-in-time strategy, which is bringing the right people in the right place at the right time, as we all know. How do we want to do it? We want to do it through automation. And what do we want to automate? We want to automate the volume input. We want to automate the people metric. We want to automate resource optimization, and definitely the output in a advanced way. How are we going to do this now is the next slide here, where we talk about forecasting engine, which Sri explained, is going to be the primary input for the demand on the entire process. Forecasting engine will help us feed volumes, AHT, shrinkage, volume, especially with additional information such as trends, seasonalities, day of the week factor, week of the month factor, interval of the day factor. Those views may be existing in most of the places today, but how are they focused? How are they brought out when we are having the discussions with the operations team? How are we having those focused on when we are talking to our stakeholders? Those are the things which the forecasting engine will help us from the demand side of the business or the input, which will help us build a stronger lock guidance and an outlook process with our stakeholders and the clients. From the supply side of it, resource requirement batch planning is going to be definitely the output, which will be much more accurate, much more systematic and structured. Timely trigger of the hiring requisitions is the most critical part that I spoke of. Ramps and seat planning, considering that today's normal norm that we all say work at home is highly focused at this point, and eventually we are looking at bringing back some workforce to the office. So the B&M work at home ratios will help us decide how many seats we need, and that will help us cost optimize on the seat side. And then from the resource optimization standpoint, a lot of simulations and what if scenarios is what we are aiming to bring through technology, through AI, to machine learning, where it would have gains on the financial or the contractual metrics and the customer experience KPIs. Today we are doing those scenarios through Excel and in silos, but a system which would help us bring those things out with a impact assessment on the financials, contractual, and KPIs would give a larger perspective for the operations and stakeholders to conclude on what decisions they need to take. And finally, moving away from the traditional way of Excel, traditional way of sending it through emails, we want to move to a better technology, a smart solution where, if we can get something reasonable in the market, move to a mobile app. We can check and view our planners outside the office from wherever we want at any time we want. It'll all be web-based. So that's the aspiration we have. Now, what will all of this bring, gain us? What value adds would we do by investing into what I spoke about? We're going to have a streamlined and a better organized and a structured planning process. We're going to have reduced staffing influx, which will result into a lower carry cost. Better visualization and of the plans, medium term, long term, for stronger decision making. Stronger communication with the customers, right? Again, maximizing the revenue opportunity, minimizing penalties through proper planning, and which will eventually result into a high customer experience and a very good relationship with our customers, which will again eventually lead to us meeting the organization's goals and reputation. So this in net is going to be very value added, and taking capacity planning to the next level is definitely the aspiration and our goal for next year. So that brings me to the end of my topic. Thank you. Hey, Jess, Shri, thank you. Judges, please, your feedback and questions.
Hey, hi, this is Ranga. Just a quick question on the last slide. I saw about a mobile app feature. So, do you already have this, or you're planning to inbuilt into the tool? Okay. So, what functionality? Yeah, go ahead.
So we do. Sorry, I didn't mean to speak over you. We do have, the SharePoint access that we built internally now. We are enhancing that, and we're trying to look at, technologies which can provide solutions on even a mobile app feature. So that's work in progress.
Okay. Do you foresee what kind of functionality that you're looking for in the mobile app, and what kind of features that you're looking at?
Features more from the visual, definitely, to track where our resources are and when we need them, when we're going to get classes. So a complete view, an online view. Also some gateway to recommend any changes, any feedback or suggestions from operations. For example, if we are traditionally, if the trend shows that we're running at a 24% shrink, and during some of the conversation, an operations leader feels that we can optimize it and bring it down to a 20%, they could probably do it through a mobile app and pass those recommendation and feedback on, rather than just waiting to get into office and then have a very formal discussion on a call.
Okay. So this app that you're trying to, you don't foresee that to use it for any live capacity planning or scheduling, forecasting, and all that. That's how you look at it.
Yeah. So this app that we're talking about would definitely help us, manage certain inputs real time as well. Of course, this is going to be, based on a backend working and an algorithm, but front end will be more visual, more to track where we are. That's the intention here, not for it to be a working app on the mobile as such, but more from a visual standpoint is what I'm aiming at this point. Okay.
And to add, Ranga, it's also about the alert system. That is here under a better way of communication as an alert system in a mobile app.
Okay, understood. Yeah, it'll be a good idea to implement it and deliver that to the business.
Correct. It's a tough one.
It is a tough one for sure, and we have to think through how we want to make this successful. But it is going to eliminate a lot of dependency on people, on emails, and going ahead and searching what plan was sent out a week earlier. We all get so lost in the email. So the intention is to make it more user friendly. How we're going to do that, I may not have the answer right now, but we definitely have the thought process in place. We just have to work with the technology and ensure we get that implemented.
Okay. So is it something that you've been thinking for quite some time, or maybe as part of this hackathon, you guys have got together and came up with this idea?
Go ahead, Mahesh.
Sorry, just it's been a thought process. I mean, it's been like getting it on the web, getting it on the SharePoint access. That's already done, right? It just gave us the impetus. I mean, a kick in with the hackathon.
Yeah, it definitely did. Moving to a web-based solution has been the dream for me, for sure. We have now, standardized our planning process across the organization. We have standardized the capacity planners on an Excel. We moved it to a SharePoint access. So we've reached that level, and the next level is to definitely make it more web-based, and we are targeting to do that this year.
Actually, to add to that, Power BI, I mean, we explored that in Power BI. It came out very well. But it's going a bit slow. But actually having those capacity plans, the visualization, which is critical visualizations, like, if there is any understaffing, right? Or if there is any shrinkage on a higher side, those parts in Power BI, we actually explored that for a couple of accounts in a limited space.
Okay, understood. Thanks, Mahesh. Thanks, Jess.
Yeah, thanks for the questions.
Hi, Mahesh. Hi, Jess. One input, specifically as I stare at the slide and on supply side, you're stating that ramps and seat planning would be based on brick and mortar / work at home ratios. Provocating both of you, should it not be the other way around? Which means, should you not be determining and recommending what should be the brick and mortar / work at home ratios after you have deployed the forecasting engine, and then we guided onto what should be looked at from a ramp perspective? I think as you start contracting new logos, or as you start looking at the growth of the existing account or existing business that you may have, don't you think one would want to view it, just reverse the whole game there?
Okay, maybe I did not convey it earlier well. So the seat planning is definitely a recommendation WFM will be providing based on the ratios. The whole of last year and even this year, we are all struggling to figure out what percentage of our workforce should get back B&M. We don't know the unknowns yet, right? There were a lot of seats that have been vacant in all the centers in the organizations, which has brought in a lot of cost. So the eventual, approach is to definitely make recommendations on what would be ideal ratio of work at home B&M to make sure that the margins are healthy. If that was, the answer you were looking for, Rachel.
So no, I was not looking for that answer. Here is my thought process.
Mm-hmm.
What I see, the capacity planning engine is lacking. Specifically, if I was to look at supply side, there are good actors and there are bad actors on as one looks at the workforce. And I think your supply model is completely ignoring that aspect, at least on what I'm seeing on the slide. The brick and mortar to work at home ratios is independent right now, or is assuming that all the actors in workforce are going to be good actors. Right, which means work at home is absolutely very well oiled, very well secured, very well controlled. And that's the underlying assumption and presupposition on basis of which I'm seeing the capacity planning engine being modeled right now. And where I was saying that I'm provoking the team to think about is, can we look at the whole set of ramp and seat planning to not be an outcome? It should be the other way around, right? So today, what are we saying? We are saying that one variable of brick and mortar to work at home ratios is an input into the whole ramp and seat planning process. It may be worthwhile for us to make a shift there and state what should be my brick and mortar and work at home ratios be if I know I have been able to model based on the past supplies how many actors have historically turned out to be bad actors. I think that's the perspective that I leave the team.
Sure.
Sure. A point taken, Verint. However, yes, that is the approach we have today too, right? When we are telling that, we are telling in places where we have at this present moment 95% of them working at home, right? We are proposing classes, we are proposing batches, and telling that because of the cost optimization, we don't have to spend on the infra, right? So we are proposing those things. That what is the best ratio for us to protect our margins, right? And then telling that this is the best way forward.
Sure. Perfect. Okay. In terms of collaboration, I mean, can you describe the process? How did the whole hackathon drive this conceptualization as part of the hackathon process?
So you're cutting in between. I mean, you're talking about how did we start collaborating and ideating on this for this hackathon process?
Correct.
Okay. So it was a 2.5 day effort. The best part is we were thinking on these lines, but this actually speeded up. I was surprised myself that what we could actually discuss, collaborate, and achieve in 2.5 days. So what we did is that we took 7 to 8 people. I mean, although we were told that 5 to 6 people as the team members, but we thought maybe we'll have 2 teams, or we had 8 people, because we just don't want to stop it here. Obviously, I mean, the idea is this is a real world problem and is a critical item. We want to take it forward and implement it and close it. So we had 8 of them. So I got them into 2 groups, right? We have a forecasting COE. They started working on the forecasting initiatives and enhancements. And then the capacity planning just manages that, the organized way of getting the capacity plans out. So, and then after 1 day, all of the team members collaborated. Actually, we discussed, gave feedback on each of them. and then came up with the final thought process.
Do we have any more questions?
There's just one thing I want to add here. While I'm aware it has been discussed for some time in the team, Mahesh, just I think a lot of information here between the supply and the demand and how this will be done. Just from a presentation standpoint, I think, and for everybody's benefit, I think it would help.
Here you will only talk about the problem statement. The building the tool and everything, I think, will come into the ideation part. Just
Abhishek, can you go and mute, please? Thank you. Yeah. So it would help if you guys, Mahesh, you, Jas, and everybody else, if you could talk a little more about from the technology piece here. Because everybody does capacity planning. Everybody knows that they are doing it the best, right? But here we're not talking about that planning or forecasting is important. We're talking about how we're going to involve technology in it to take it to the next level and make it even more precise. I think that's what the whole aspect that you're presenting here is. So that would have been a little better, or if you can speak to it now on what kind of technologies that you're going to implement and at what stages. I think that would really help.
Sure, Satya. Hey, Sri, you want to add on the Minitab, the Minitab automation, what we have gone through, and we're going to implement that, and then the VB codes for the forecasting piece.
Yes, Mahesh. Yeah. So we really went through, the first part of it when we were talking about the technology enhancement. We were talking about how do we want to ideate the AI tactics. That is, we were talking about the tools would be too cost for us. So then how do we look at it is the cost-effective models are using the same AI techniques into VBI coding and the macros that we will be working on. That is the enhancement that we were talking about when I was saying we will use this. And from the the Minitab part of it, the Minitab has a feature wherein we will be able to save all the previous models, and we can revisit it with the multiple data sets so that we can look at the impact on the impact on our forecast. So these are the kind of enhancements that I was trying to refer when I was saying that we would be going for VB coding and Minitab, exploring the options here.
Hey, Jeff, you want to take up the capacity planning?
Yeah, sure. So on the capacity planning side, like Satya rightly mentioned, it's the process exists. What we want to do is take it to a more automated version. Which brand, which tool, I don't have the answer yet. But how we're going to do is, use machine learning, wherein the algorithms or the calculations are predefined and it's fed into the system, so that the manual intervention of doing those calculations, validating it each and every time we update, can be eliminated. So a lot of manual intervention and the time spent on it through machine learning or AI. Those are just examples, but we're exploring the market. So those will be applied here for the capacity planning process, where the trends, or the assumptions will be based on trends, which will come in from the forecasting engine. Our calculations will be pre-fed so that we don't have to manually sit and check on them every now and then. There will be definitely a review process. And batch planning, it should probably preempt based on the lead time on the shortages that we have, when an alert that when the classes need to be put in, or when the requisition requests have to be raised. So the process exists. It's just that we have to add technology to it to make it less human intervention and less manual.
And also to add to that, the simulators, right? What if scenarios, like different impact areas, like if we increase for example, if the shrinkage is increased by 5%, what will happen to my contractual KPIs or the customer experience KPIs? And then how will it impact my margins? How will it impact my revenue? So we have that in places. However, have to get that completely automated and then completely in all the plants. Just to add to what Mahesh was saying on the simulators, the objective here is that, let me give you an example. If we're short, we know that 4 weeks down the line, we're going to be short by 10 people or 15 FTEs. Do we really need to hire a class, or can we, do it by overtime? If we have other cross-utilization, cross-skilled agents available, can we take those as an option? So the simulator is basically going to throw such, options that rather than doing 100% overtime, probably do 50% overtime and use the remaining 50% as the cross-utilize agents. So those are some thought processes we have when we talk about the simulators or what-if scenarios. And we have them here where the manual intervention or the human effort and intelligence is being used. That can be halved maybe, right? With this kind of scenarios and automations and automatic triggers. Because today it's there, everybody will have it, right? How do I actually meet my contractual expectations, right? Responsibilities. However, if it can be a trigger, if it can be actually automated and telling us give 3 different scenarios or options, that is what we are getting into.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Satya.
Thanks, SGS team. All the best.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now let's move on to the Concentrix Team B, and post which we'll have Sathi AI. Can you have the Concentrix Team B hub on the screen?
Hi, this is Debashish. I represent Concentrix B team. Yes, we will glide through a few slides. We'll try to finish in 15 minutes. Melvin, can you just quickly present?
Yeah.
So good evening, everyone. I will not take much of your time. So I'll start quickly. So I'm Debashish. I represent Team Kingfisher from Concentrix. Thanks for giving us the opportunity to show our capability in this big forum. Before I start, I would like to introduce my team. Melvin, just go to the next slide. Top left, you can see me. Then we have Saikat, Melvin. Bottom left is Abhishek. Beside him, we have Somnath. Then our mentor, Abhishek, again. And we have Puneet. Before we start, Melvin will give a quick insight of why we have chosen Kingfisher as our logo.
Sure. Thanks, Devashish. So why Kingfisher? Why CNX Kingfisher is because we have Kingfisher is a bird which there are about 120 different species of Kingfisher itself, and they have evolved and adapted to the different resource availability over the across the globe. Okay. Similarly, our team would always evolve and adapt to the different changing business needs, like we have back office in voice, inbound, and now we have the new scenarios of work from office and work from home situation and the hybrid of it because of this pandemic. Kingfisher also has this capability of hovering on top of water, and it just waits for the prey, and it waits for the right time to dive to catch the prey. Similarly, we carry the values like velocity, consistency, deep dive, and disruptive. And that's why we have chosen a CNX Kingfisher as our logo. Over to you, Abhishek.
Thank you, Melvin, for ticking the right boxes while explaining the team name and the logo, and also Devashish towards introducing the team and the members in a striking fashion. I am Abhishek Barat, part of Team Kingfisher. I would like to expound the empathize section. To empathize is the ability to sense other people's emotions, coupled with the ability to imagine what someone else might be thinking or feeling. Easier said than done. We associated with our clients, their advisors, their supervisors, and the WFM real-time resources to monitor the floor so that at the end, we do not end up not solving or answering the so what. Melvin, can you help quickly show a glance of the sub slides on how we tackled the empathize part? Thank you. I would like to hand over the baton back to Devashish for him to elucidate the next part of the presentation in a bit more details. Over to you, Devashish.
Thank you, Abhishek. After having a discussion with multiple stakeholders, we gathered in-office shrinkage and overutilization of some of the productive metrics like SOW causes miss in the KPI and a revenue target by on an average 6%. There is also 8% productive time loss of due to this work from home scenario. situations, compared to work from office. All this basically deep in the CSAT scope. And also of late, the expense to revenue ratio has gone up due to the higher RTA staff, because we have deployed more RTA staff to ensure we meet our productivity metrics. So we have further deep dive on those problem statements, and one of my team members, Shuman, will take you through those, will touch those points briefly. Over to you, Shuman.
Thanks, Debashish. As said by Debashish and Abhishek, post taking what we will see from the operation agents and manager, and in the problem statement, there are say 8% of productivity loss and a 6% impact on revenue. When loss of the productivity, when come as a picture, role of the WFM RTA. So when we deep dive the issue, what is the actual issue? So we come up with the 5 why statement. Why when doing a deep dive? So why there is an issue in our RTA? So there we find as a RTA capability, speed and accuracy when they are react on the flow. There is a communication gap between a operation and RTA or client command center from an RTA. Also, there is a scalable solution. So, for example, work from home, as said by Debashish, when environment is changed from the work from office to the work from home, there is a improvement in the out of shrinkage. However, in office shrinkage is a rise by 8%. So why we are not getting a benefit of the out of shrinkage, and there is no control on out of shrinkage from WFM. However, in office shrinkage we have a control as a WFM. We can govern that. All those deep issues come as a customer dissatisfaction, which is a customer as a operations and a client as a WFM. Post deep dive, we done a brainstorming, and brainstorming details will take you from my colleagues.
Thank you so much. So my name is Saikat. So as we have already understood the problem, so now it's time to find out the solution. Hence we have done the brainstorming session, because the idea should have the proactive sensibility and the cost effective as well. Here are some ideas: a decrease supervisor ratio, other end management ops, deploy advisor in a single floor, remove multitasking load from RTA over time, RTA automation through RPA, decrease RTA stock ratio, high weightage weakest stack, and additional investment on agents. So then we have put the ideas in an affinity diagram where we have rejected all the ideas which is not high impact and low cost. So we have selected the RTA automation through RPA, which is suitable for us because it's high impact and the low effort and cost. I would like to hand over to Puneet, who will help you to understand the journey.
Thanks a lot, Saikat, for explaining. Yeah, good evening, everyone. My name is Puneet. After all the brainstorming, we have come up with a solution. We identified the tools and application which is being used currently to do the work of real time. Then further, we explored the option that how we can extract the database from different tools and screen. We use screen scraping for the same thing. Then we further applied algorithm to trigger alerts as per the defined threshold, like RAST, in-office shrinkage, non-adherence of schedule, etc. Next step we did is defining the supervisor alerts. That what should be the communication method. We developed pop-up on agent screen, break a seeded SMS mobile alerts to agents, also mail SMS alert to supervisor and team managers. Moreover, we have also inbuilt the escalation metric basis a certain threshold and added reporting module that how many times alerts were sent to particular agent supervisor, which help us to actually identify the defaulters. Over to you, Debashish.
Now I will talk about more of the RTA bot, so that we have solution. So now so when we get RTA bot, what is expected out of it? So RTA bot is a solution to eliminate repeated alert activity for both voice and non-voice advisors, which is currently done by our WFM RTA executives. In a BAU scenario, for any non-adherence today, our RTA resources reach out to our agent to their supervisors, maybe in person, over phone, on chat, or email. This is a repetitive activity that our RTA resources are expected to do 24/7 and 365 days a year. Sorry to become a self-critic, so I'm part of WFM, so in that sense I'm saying, but how consistently, frequently we are we are reaching out to all the agents who are spread out in the different locations, and most important, how much it is possible. Now the RTA bot will do basically way it has been solutioned through RPA is that it will ping, and if example Debashish is an agent and he crosses a threshold limit of, for example, if an HT of 500 seconds or maybe a aux of 300 seconds, a non-productive aux I'm referring to. So in that case, it will immediately give a pop-up. And we can configure it, for example, till the time I come out from the particular aux or I close the particular call. That pop-up will come to me time and again. So you can set up a timeline of every 20 seconds, 30 seconds, something like that. Similar pop-up will go to our supervisors. At the same time, and supervisor will get pop-up only for the agents who are defaulters. For example, again, Devashish has a 20 members team, and there are 2 members in a team who is basically the defaulters. You can so they will only get this pop. So I will get the pop-up for only those 2 folks. Early agent logout alerts. So what happens at times, agent logout before time, and especially in the work from home scenarios, we have a very difficult to control that. Okay, so immediately an agent log out. For example, 6 o'clock is a logout time, and he logged out at 5:30. Immediately, the person will get the supervisor will get an alert in the system as a notification. Okay, this person is logged out, and you can just the supervisor can have a choice to call up that agent and ask him to logging back because he didn't complete his shift time. Also, as a tool has the capability with schedule versus actuals. For example, agent doesn't log in within 5 minutes of his schedule times. Immediately, so that via a red alert it will come, and supervisor have to give those reasons for those not logging in on time. Maybe there'll be a transport issue, maybe some other issue, but that something it can also capture. Now you go to the next slide quickly. I think. All this thing, how is going to benefit us? One, this bot is available 24/7, 365 days in a year. It is reachable any point of time, anywhere. Okay, the agent. So the similar action will be taken for work from home agents and work from home office agents. It's very consistent. So it's something that you set up like every 20 seconds, it will give you a notification. It will keep giving unless and until the issue got resolved. Instant action, if moment you cross it, it will go on. It's scalable. So any point of time, it's just an exe file that is installed in the system. So scalable any given point of time. Most important is a report. Today, we might be as a WFM resource might be talking multiple times, giving alerts to different, someone have to go on mute. Anyway, the report is something is very important. For example, today we don't know how many time we reach out to that agent or supervisor and what reason. This report will, for example, I have 200 times I've given you alert. I can pull up that report and say X. You have yesterday we have reached 200 times and still you're not able to meet the target. And it's more important is flexible. So any kind of metrics, any kind of platform, you can put this particular applications. Quickly go to the next slide. This is a very high level of architecture that we have put in. Just go to the next slide. So we have created a prototype. Maybe just play those notifications. We don't have much of time. Just play those notifications that we have. Those supervisor notifications and the agent notifications. Just hang on. So this is one of the notification you will see this particular AHT, this alert as this person has crossed his AHT target. Similarly, there is been an aux target and everything. You will get all those notifications. It will come in your screen as and when it. Now you go directly to that schedule adherence and this patient.
So this is more like
so
it gives an option to stop the shift.
So it has been solutioned in a way. For example, Devashish and Melvin are the two team supervisors. Now Devashish's shift starts at 9 o'clock, it ends at 6 o'clock, and Melvin's shift starts at 12 o'clock and ends at 9 o'clock in the evening. Now, for example, but some of my team member will be logged in till 9 o'clock in the evening. So in that case, I can transfer these agents to Melvin, and Melvin will keep getting those pop-ups. So agents will be constantly monitored in a given point of time. So this is something the schedule adherence I was talking about. See, this person has not logged in, so we're 222, so you can just put the report kind of system to something that you can. Just go to that. This is fine. Now go to that agent pop-up column. I think it's there at the end. Now just come bit now. So this is kind of pop-up. It will come in the right-hand side of the screen. So that he has crossed his AHT or off or something. This kind of pop-up, the person will start getting. Let's go to the next slide. I think that's on. So while that is a prototype, we are also trying to design this would be how it would look like, this notification tool and all these things, how it would look like. So this is maybe when it will come out, it will look like this. Go to the next. Now, what is the key takeaway of all these things? One, we are bringing velocity, consistency, scalability, and accuracy in the system. Now, what we observe after total strength, around 15% staff today in workforce are involved in doing this, sending alerts. Okay, so by that, around 15, at least what I have gauged, around 12% of the headcount we can save if we can implement it successfully, and I think we can do it. There are and the agents will not have a choice. They will get pop-ups, and I think 12% of our headcount we can save over there. There will be a reduction in the login leakages by 6%. And most important, we will bring smile to our clients and to our stakeholders. With that, I'd like to end my presentation. Over to you.
Thanks, Concentrics team. Now judges may ask questions.
Yeah, hi, Debashish, Ranga here. These last two takeaways where you mentioned about 12% and 6%, are there real metrics, or I understand since you already have a tool, I'm guessing that you already have been using this for quite some time. So are these real metrics from the system, or you're anticipating this is the kind of savings that you'll find?
See how it is. For example, our 30% is basically in doing this RT activities of my total WFM strength, out of which around 50 to 55% of the guys are involving, say, sending those alerts, managing those shifts and everything. With this kind of tool, because so today what I'm doing as an RTA guy, I'm just reaching out to an agent or reaching out to a supervisor. That activity will be taken up by the bot. And then definitely this kind of savings will come. That's something that we are looking at. And there are, I'm sorry, I cannot hear you.
Sorry, this is an estimation of your savings then.
It's a kind of estimation of things.
Okay. Is the tool ready for deployment, or you guys have built it in the last few days from the hackathon, or have been This has
So
been
we are
in the
working
build.
on this tool for some time now, and there are many things we are building up. So are in our mind. So like you will have something on your cell phone also. So have you wherever you work, it seems like money control. There is a app. You can see your right any given point of time. You can see the stock price. You can see how it is trending. You can see the history of that particular company. Everything on a similar line. We try to build a tool that will give end to end. And for a DP, he can see for the account. For the operation manager, he can see his LOBs. For the supervisor, he can see his team, and that's how it will look like.
Okay. Okay. That's helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Devashish, I a couple of things here, but before I say anything else, in today's world, you don't want to associate yourself with Kingfisher as a name. So, very bold of you to do that, and courageous of you to. So you're very creative as well. So good job there. And great idea here. Some of the things that you mentioned in your prototype that you was working is really good. Do you think at any point of time while you were working through this whole thing, did it occur to you guys that probably it's time that we can let go of an RTA as a role, because pretty much it does is raising alert systems and marking exceptions, right? If most of it is getting done by the system itself, and whatever is not can be done through the bot. Do you see maybe in a few months or some time, I think probably it looks like it's a redundant role anymore now, and that can be repurposed to do something else which is more critical now. So I'm just thinking, did that come across at all?
I see it may happen. So I will tell you what, so this RPA has two kind of capability. One is basically a straightforward algorithm on which we are building this. Another is basically a machine learning. So we thought of to do a predictive and prescriptive analysis. So tool can do a predictive and prescriptive analysis. Like it will predict what will happen. It will also prescribe what will happen. So today that is not, so that today as we speak, that has been done by my folks, the agents that was left with them. They will do it. But it's not even losing the job. Maybe then we have some other work for them. And maybe today we don't have data. So how many times you're sending an alert? What period of time my agents are sitting idle, are getting why? All those numbers we don't have. Maybe tomorrow we will use those numbers and do some analysis to bring more efficiency in the system. Maybe today they're doing a no-brainer work, like they're just looking at the screen, running there, calling up them. Those things might go off. But I believe once we have more data out of which, then we can work upon how can improve the agent's performance. What time of the day actually agents where why my HT is going up, and vis-a-vis what is that, which are the agents, who are what is their contributions, all these things they will do. Maybe the nature of work will change, what I mean to say.
Understood. Just one quick follow-up question. Like you mentioned that you guys have been working on this for some time, and it's pretty much ready in some form or shape for deployment. Any estimated time frame on how long did it take for you guys to come up with this from a ground zero to building it up all the way wherever it is right now?
See, so to conceptualize it takes some time, but once it's ready, see RPA, it's very something that you not to know any programming. So if you've seen those RPA tools, it's need not to know any program. It's very drag and drop kind of thing that you can do it. So if you have a basic SQL server and a database, and if you have some kind of database you having an RPA, I think it will not take more than 3 months time to build it.
Great, thank you.
Do we have any questions for Concentrix Team B?
So, Devashish, hi, Vineet.
Hi, Vineet.
What was the progression that has happened from the idea and concept which was before coming into Hackathon? And how did Hackathon enable the vision to convert into the slides that we have seen?
What we have done so far, it's in bits and pieces. What we have done, we put everything together. So to be honest, so there are different teams worked in silos. So I have worked with some of our developers. I have worked with some of my team members. But nothing was in one place. So what I have learned out of this in a couple of days, to be very honest, how we can structure things, how we can put things together. What will be the step? We have followed all the step-by-step processes, but when we have started working on this, those type of realize this is how we should be more effective with everything.
Last follow-up question would be, I mean, there was reference to CSAT and there was reference to measurement of improvement that was coming across on customer experience. Is that a surrogate of improved efficiency to effectiveness and optimization that customer experience would improve, or is that some level of diagnostic that has gone by for us to say that our model is going to improve the CSAT by X%?
We have not, to be honest, gone on that level. We can recognize how much of CSAT will improve. But what I've seen that are some of the metrics, if maybe in the beta phase, we've seen some of the metrics has already improved. That somewhere is given improvement in service level, somewhere is given some abundant, and definitely it will improve the CSAT of the customer. But that kind of correlation we haven't done it so far. But if you talk about our like some of the clients or maybe our internal stakeholders, have seen a lot of so kind of alerts when we have shown them everyone this is the tool how to look like. So this is the tool we wanted. So at times mid of the night also there is no one to take care of the queue and who is doing what. At least we have those mechanisms to send those alerts. Once it will reach to a cell phone, then it will be a 360-degree where we will solve everything.
Thanks, Abhishek. Do you have any questions, or we can conclude Concentrix Team B? All right, Concentrix Team, all the best. Thank you so much for a great presentation.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Vinny. Thank you.
I'll have Swati, hi. Can we have you up on the screen, please?
Sarthi, okay, sure, perfect. Thank you.
All right. So, first of all, thank you for this opportunity and having us here. We're delighted to present some of the cutting-edge AI solutions that we have been working on, and a solid business plan based on that. So Sarthi AI is the global voice and language AI company solving the challenges of enterprise customer experience. Our vision is to be the world's most innovative language and voice technology company, and our mission is to simplify business communication with multilingual voice user interface. So if you'll see, essentially today, repetitive outbound calls are essential for lending companies to grow, or not just lending companies, but any FSI companies if you see at large. So people do outbound calling for lead qualification. People do, enterprises actually make payment reminder calls to the customers. They also make debt collections. They want to reach to the customers for with some promotional offers or campaigns, or they want to collect some feedbacks on the for some events or their enterprise customer experience also. Essentially, if you'll see, this is a very large market wherein like every day millions of calls are outbound calls are made from enterprise to customers. So we have come here to come with a AI solution which is much more scalable, which provides you 100% quality monitoring, which provides you access to multilingual agents that solves your problem of catering to a demography which is multilingual in nature. At the same time, one more key advantage is that training of, let's say in a current setup where human agents are there, so training of one star agent of yours does not percolate to other agents, but that happens in AI. So if you train one AI, that is replicable to a million AI, right? Scalability of this solution, AI solution, I mean, right now on demand handling of spikes in the contact centers due to seasons or any anomaly also, it's a challenge. I mean, how do you manage those kind of scalability issues? So there AI comes into picture. You just increase the number, number of ports by clicking a button on the console, and you can scale the solution from 1 to 1,000, right? And the best part is since this is the AI software, that means there is no scope for human error. That means there is uniform and standardized customer interaction in every customer interaction that happens. So traditional call centers, if you will see, I mean, like they have been like high attrition rate, and which makes that hiring and training agents even more expensive affair. And then I said, for upgrading or setting up a new contact center for outbound processes itself is a cumbersome process and requires a lot of upfront investment. At the same time, it is error-prone and slow process with inadequate quality monitoring because, I mean, like the volume of calls that are happening today, it is humanly impossible to monitor all those calls. So that's why you need machines who can do better job than humans at that particular task. So, and because if you don't do that, then inefficient engagement, customer engagement will result in your wasted leads and high abandonment and lower repayments of your loans. So that's why we present Maya, which is a pre-trained multilingual interactive robocaller, and it can be used for hassle-free omni-channel engagement with your customers. A demo of the solution, I mean, this is like, it is very intuitive, so I'll just play and probably it will be able to explain itself.
Hello, Ankit. My name is Maya and I'm calling regarding your upcoming EMI for this month. Is it good time to speak with you?
Yes, tell me.
Monthly EMI of your home loan is 7,800 rupees and is due on the 28th of October 2020. Please maintain the EMI amount in your account for seamless experience. Do you have any question regarding your EMI or loan for me?
What is the interest rate you are charging on my loan?
You've acquired this home loan at 14 per annum rate. Do you have any question regarding your EMI or loan for me?
You are giving me wrong information.
Our loan service agents will call you again soon to confirm the details. Thank you very much for giving me your valuable time.
So this was the EMI reminder part. Next, if we move, this is for the debt collection.
Hello, Ankit. My name is Maya and I'm calling regarding your upcoming EMI for this month. Is it good time to speak with you?
Yes, tell me.
Monthly EMI of your home loan is 7,800 rupees and is due on the 28th of October 2020. Please maintain the EMI amount in your account for seamless experience. Do you have any question regarding your EMI or loan for me?
What is the interest rate you are charging on my loan?
I think
You've acquired.
I think this doesn't slight mess up. I think I've played the same demo again. This is what I think the solution is. Largely the same solution, basically robocalling solution, and it can be used to qualify and schedule appointment with the loan agents or any incumbent which is relevant there in the workflow there. Similarly, it can be, since these are pre-trained, when I said that means that for pre-trained, they are pre-trained for payment reminders, for debt collections, for feedback promotions, surveys, and lead qualification, lead generation processes also. So perfect fix for all your call center challenges because they are already pre-trained for domain-specific jargons. Like, for example, if you are calling from a BFSI sector or banking sector, so the NBFC, UPI, these kind of terms, basically the machine needs to understand beforehand. So that's why having the domain jargon is very important, and having those call flows are very important. And at the same time, since this is AI software, so this is and this can be programmed, so it is always mindful of customers' time and mood, and it is fully managed, agile, and configurable. I mean, ready to deploy. Let's say we can do that in less than like 3 days, 72 hours. And best part is now instead of waiting on the contact center IVR, pressing 1 and pressing 2 and pressing 3 and letting the customers drop, you can start engaging the customers from the very first second they start interacting with you. So that's the overall results. Basically, if you have to see about, then it minimizes the human involvement and maximizes the efficiency of all your contact call centers. And the seamless lead qualification, effortless timely EMI payments, and efficient feedback collection and escalation is something that you can start doing it right away with the AI-centric solutions that we offer. Thank you, gentlemen. Thanks for your time. We are open to questions.
Vishwa, you talked about multilingual. This is Vineet here.
Yeah. Hi, Vineet.
Hi. So is this all vernacular Indian native languages, or is it also native foreign languages as well?
Global languages as well as Indian languages. So right now, if you want to talk about like Indian languages, so this is this payment reminder solution that I demonstrate that is available today in Hindi, English, Kannada, Telugu, Marathi, Bangla, and then there is Arabic, Spanish, French, and Malay and Mandarin.
You have it in Malay and Mandarin as well. Okay. Cantonese also.
Sorry, Cantonese, no. We haven't yet got any, opportunity where we need to develop this solution for Cantonese dialect language, basically. But again, I mean, since we have done it for more than 30 global languages, so it's just like, scaling one more language, like 2 months job.
Sure. Is it still in prototype, or has it been deployed and there are use cases already?
It has been deployed multiple times. However, for every business, like more or less, little bit configuration is required, right? So for that purpose, like we do the configuration part, and then we have deployed with almost like 7-8 FSI institutions in India right now, and we are starting with one in Malaysia, in the motor insurance division, basically.
How did Hackathon enable and rather, I mean, what was as part of the process? How did Hackathon contribute to evolution of the product?
So basically, like we had like multiple interaction with people in the event, and based on that, a lot of feedbacks. As I said, the configuration of the business flows, dialogue flows that was happening. That we got to know industry understanding and how exactly this can be, imbibed in our solution so that it is much more market ready, like that. So it's more like getting feedback and improving every time. It's like every product has a regression phase. So the more you interact with industry, more feedback, more eyes, more improvement.
Sure.
As well as if you say apart from that, it also allowed us to connect with a lot of contact center large like companies which can leverage this technology. We can more like an opportunity for us to like showcase and let people who want to partner or who want to experiment the solution, they can probably reach out to us.
Hey, Vishwa, Satya here. Thanks for sharing this Sarthi AI with us. Now I have a couple of very basic questions, more for my knowledge and understanding purpose, and not challenge the tool itself. But this seemed to be more like a self-help call deflection kind of a tool where things can be more automated and answered. What audience are you really targeting for this? Considering that we're looking at from a WFM standpoint, if you have to put it within that framework, where would you imagine this can fit in? What audience are you looking at? And then third piece is there is a very niche segment of work where, especially in the healthcare side, where there are nurse triage work that happens a lot. There this may be, or home care kind of work where this may come very handy. So have you tried exploring those areas of how you can utilize this, because those are areas where you require a one-on-one communication. It requires home care where things have to be reminded, patients are at home. Those kind of areas, I think this tool can be really helpful. So I don't know if you've tried that, and if you have, if you want to share some experience from there.
Yeah. So I think area in the WFM where just trying to articulate and note down the questions that you just asked, starting with the healthcare scope where the nurse triaging part is there. Can it be used? Yes, we have used it, and we're working with hospitals also. I'll show the demonstration if you want right away. Just give me a moment. So this is what we have done for hospitals and clinics and everything. Let's just hear this out.
हे ओमनी।
So,
नमस्कार ओमनी में आपका स्वागत है। बताइए मैं आपकी किस प्रकार सहायता कर सकती हूँ। मेरी तबीयत ठीक नहीं है, मुझे डॉक्टर से मिलना है। कृपया पसंदीदा हॉस्पिटल का चयन करें। उदय ओमनी। कृपया विशेषता का चयन करें। सामान्य चिकित्सा। आप किस डॉक्टर से कंसल्ट करना चाहेंगे? डॉक्टर विमल राय। ये उपलब्ध स्लॉट हैं, कृपया मुझे अपनी प्राथमिकता बताएं। कल सुबह 11 बजे। कृपया अपना रजिस्ट्रेशन आईडी बताएं। मैं एक नया यूजर हूँ। कृपया अपना नाम, आधार या अन्य सरकारी दस्तावेजों के अनुसार शेयर करें। इकबाल। कृपया अपना फोन नंबर शेयर करें। 9892205471। कृपया अपनी आयु बताएं। 29। कृपया रोगी के बारे में जानकारी को कंफर्म करें। ठीक है। कृपया अपना ओटीपी नंबर बताएं। 7729। रजिस्ट्रेशन सफल हुआ। इकबाल, आपसे मिलकर खुशी हुई। पेमेंट करें। ठीक है। आपकी बुकिंग फीस 839 रुपये है। कृपया पेमेंट करने का तरीका चुनें। कैश ऑन काउंटर। आपका स्लॉट सफलतापूर्वक बुक हो गया है।
So this was the healthcare piece. Is there something similar that you were referring to?
Not exactly. This is more of an appointment setting. What I was referring to was more from a home care, patients at home and then helping them out. But I think
Yes, that is also part of it. So in the demo, we have not demonstrated.
Logistical aspect would be still the same. So.
Yeah, so that is also part. So you can have like like all the symptom triaging is part of it, as well as all the, not just that, basically in any generic, any non-medical communication between the hospital and the patient, which can possibly happen, is automated. Like right from starting, ICICI Lombard insurance, will it work at your hospital or not? And do you have a cafeteria in your hospital or not? Or like which doctor I should see? I have a stomach problem. So like that, like anything that is non-medical in nature, that is automated here in the solution. And it is omni-channel in nature. That is like it sits on website, it sits on mobile apps, as well as the telephony front desk calls also for the call deflection system. And similarly, as you were talking about as you said, right, it is the call deflection system. Yes, it is. Because largely right now we have got customers approaching us where their IVR, like through their IVR, they have been able to automate 30% of the calls without any human intervention, and they wanted it to come to 90% automation without any human help for all the calls. I'm talking about one of the largest financial corporations in the country. So having that kind of approach, and yes, that is what we are doing today right now. So basically automating all the calls, and not just that, basically like once the calls, this is for the automation part. Also, not all calls can be automated. So for those calls, how can you assist the agents so that they can do better jobs? So real-time call transcription, identifying callers' intent, and giving them step-by-step real-time assistant as per the SOP, so that they are much more empowered and much more aware while taking those calls. So that agent desktop sheet and analytics on top of that, the campaign analytics part of it. So that entire like what's in a box, if you have to ask, that is what we offer.
Thank you, Vishnu.
Hey, hi Vishwa. A quick question. I think good demo of the product. Is this cloud agnostic? ACD agnostic and cloud based solution?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We integrate with all the different like telephony partners, as well as we have cloud partners also. So we were part of like Amazon, AWS, ecosystem. So we were part of NVIDIA for Inception program accelerator for deep tech companies. So there we were part of AWS. So we were part of that. So we started with AWS. Then later we became a part of Microsoft for startups. So there again, like we moved to Azure. So like we have done for AWS as well as Azure. However, and with GCP also we have been working. So this is like 3 cloud that we generally have worked with. And in terms of ACD, it depends which partner we are working with, telephony partner.
Okay. Okay. And does the AI based on the customer feedback automatically connect to an agent, or does it mark it for a callback at a later stage to a dialer or something like that?
I think there are 2 ways how I interpret that question. So one way is like, when does the AI system constantly learn on its own, The answer is no. Does that the other part of the question is how do you upgrade that system in that case if it is not happening on its own, right? So what happens is our principle is that we make money when we automate the minutes, right? So we give free. Imagine this as like a iOS software which gets free upgrades every month on the improvements of call flows and everything, right? So we push free updates so that more and more calls get automated and more efficiency comes in the system. And the more number of minutes we automate, the more that number of minutes we charge for basically. So that's why, and why this is the system. Why? Because in the industry there is a lot of misconception about self-learning and iterative learning. Self-learning systems are, especially in a customer experience setup, I never advise any enterprise or customer to do that, because if you let the system learn on its own, then system can learn anything. If somebody is abusing the system will learn that as well. So that's why it always needs to be supervised learning on that part. So it has to go through a framework where it is approved and it is reviewed upon before reaching the customer. So that's why it may work in a social chatbot based on Twitter or something. It might work there, but in an enterprise contact center setup, it won't work.
Understood. Thanks, Vishwa.
Thank you.
Do we have any questions for the AI?
I'm good, Shiva.
Thank you, team. All the best. We move on.
Thank
you so much.
Thank you for having me here. Thank you for this opportunity to present and showcase what we're doing. Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Can you have the Concentrix team A now up on the screen?
Yeah, sure. I think Atul from my team will present. Thanks, Atul. First of all, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. This is Raj Bhardwaj, part of WFM Mavericks team. And the Mavericks stands for a person with innovative behavior. On the chart, you see the logo of our team, which concentrate on the visibility, velocity, and value, and then the motto that we have to keep our diversity more and more, and that you see in our logo as well. We kept this project name as Synergy, the tech infusion. Reason being that synergy means the collaboration of people, they are in sync, and we all are collaborative, and we have come up with a solution to a problem statement or an opportunity that we have seen. So may I request Atul to move to the next slide? Okay, so that's the journey that we have followed, which I will explain you into the next slide, where we have emphasized, we have defined, we have ideate, we have prototype, and we test. Atul, may I request you to move to the next slide, please? So we have, as you know, the new normal, which is a recent learning for everybody, for all of us, which has changed the entire paradigm for the entire universe, I would say, for the entire world. That really, put us into a situation where we have to think for innovative solutions, and we have to work upon certain things, and we have to understand certain areas that where we see the opportunity. We have, again, the approach or the journey that we follow throughout this project, which my team will take you through on. We have emphasized a situation where we understood one of our person problem in the new normal. We have defined that problem, and we have we have come up with the new ideas, and then we have a prototype this situation, and we have identified. Sorry, there's some. We have impact. We have impact and assess the impact and delivery, and we have done the test runs as well on a certain segment of it. Atul, may I request you to move to the next slide? So this is a WFM solution, right? And where we move ahead, I want to share with the audience here that we have created an end-to-end solution, which will report from top to bottom, I would say. And we have gone up to a level where person can improvise on his own behavior and support the business as much as they can. So that's the thing that we have kept in our mind to support our business from a 360-degree solutions perspective. Before we proceed, I would like to introduce one of our team members, Sandeep, who will call as Sam in this presentation. Over to you, Sandeep, for the further directions. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sam, and I'm a real-time analyst in Concentrix. Today, I'm going to take you on a journey where I'll show you how complex and tough my work life is because of changes which happened due to pandemic, and I need support to build systems or some mechanism on ground to make my
All right, Sam. So let us all evaluate and see how big the problem is. In workflow, we all have different verticals, and we perform our duties accordingly. Like we have forecasting, capacity planning, scheduling, real-time adherence, and reporting. So when we just evaluate all these verticals, we see that the real-time adherence, the overall headcount that we have is 55% of our overall headcounts, wherein the RT analyst, they do interact with the agents, internal stakeholders, so as the external stakeholders. Let's also see how complex the environment becomes. Like we have different segment, different type of account, which is like voice, inbound, outbound. So we have non-voice accounts, wherein we have email, chat, web, and CRM based account, and we do have multiple tools available. It has always happened, whenever it comes to the real-time monitoring, voice has always taken first step, wherein the back office has always taken a back seat. So if we overall check the accounts that we have, our non-voice business is 61% of the overall business that we have. So here we will just move and see what the life was of an RTA pre-COVID. So pre-COVID, everybody was in the office. There were agents, TLs, DPs, and the operation managers. In fact, the real-time analyst was also working from office. He knew whom to contact, how to contact, communication mode, and his daily activities, which is real-time monitoring, queue monitoring, downtime management, inventory management, so as everything. Now, what has changed after that this pandemic has come in? Now, post this pandemic, there are people who are working from home, so as the operation managers, even for the matter of fact, the real-time analyst, he doesn't even know whether he has to tomorrow go to the work, or maybe he has to support from office. And kind of guidance which is coming from the government, looking at the current situation, there is a lot of change happening. Now with this, the communication has taken a big change. There are multiple modes which has come in, wherein an RTA has to inform the audience with the different methods, phone calls, communication method, alerts, and everything, which is making his life big complex. So with this, I will just move to Ravish, who will just summarize all this problem to a statement. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. So just to summarize, what is Sam's problem? The first is the lack of standardized processes, and next is the lack of automated tool to enhance the productivity and increase the efficiency, and have a better control in the hybrid environment. When I say hybrid environment, it is a work from home, work from office. Both the agents, delivery team, everybody, they are split into a different environment, and especially in this new normal situation. And definitely this situation would continue for a few more months or a few more years. So the SAM reaches to the team, Maverick, that's our team. So Abhishek is the mentor. I'm just giving a quick introduction about the team. Abhishek is the mentor. Raj, Atul, Sandeep, Parul, and myself, Ravish, who all worked on this problem statement, and we have come up with a solution. So with this, I'll hand it over to Atul.
So story continues. So we moved from the define phase into the ideation phase. Now we understand that the SAM is facing some problem, which is significant, which is here to stay, which is huge. We have 60% population in back office. We have 55% who is doing the RTA. Now how do we solve it? So we came up with a solution where we say, okay, now my problem is that I don't know what my agent is doing at the home. What I can do is install a small application, which is an agent tracking system on the application which is on the desktop of an agent, which is there at his home, which can automatically capture all the agent activities he is doing and push it into the database, which will result in an unbiased agent monitoring and which will improve the productivity. We can define the productive and non-productive application names in that tool. Now that tool will identify the person who is spending the time, whether he's spending the time in the tool which is productive tool, which is a client tool, maybe CRM or something, or he's just he's opening the system and spending the time on Facebook, Amazon, or some other websites. So all that put together, at the end of the day, there will be a report who will be telling me I am a TL, I will get that report, I will understand, okay, my 3 team members, they have not done the productivity as I wanted them to do. And what have they done? They have spent so much of time on non-productive application where they should be in the productive application. Now, even if the agent is in the productive application and he's just sitting idle, he's not taking cases which is coming to his system in a back office environment, he's just sitting idle. Now my cursor movement is also getting recorded into that particular tool to ensure that my keystrokes, my cursor movement is identified, and I know that there is some movement, something is happening. That means agent is active. He is not roaming here and there, and he's not, on the phone calls with friends, or maybe, surfing web over the phone. I know that the tracking is there. I can get a report at the end of the day, and I can share the feedback, which will enhance the productivity. Now, moving to that, features of that particular tool, I have the URL based application from where I can have app where I can track. This will increase the workforce productivity optimization. I have the automated time tracking, when my agent logged in, when he logged out. I have user activity monitoring. As I said, every activity is captured. At the end of the day, I can get the analytics out of that particular tool. Moving to the features of the key features basically of that particular thing. Now, if I know somebody is watching me, it's like, having a webcam, even if a fake webcam, that can put a threat, a fear of God in somebody's mind that, okay, somebody is watching me, I should not do that. Similarly, when the person knows that there is an application on my system which is monitoring my activity, the time theft that an agent might be doing at that time will go down significantly. It will enhance the productivity to an amount which you can't imagine. It is applicable to both, whether it is work from home agents or whether it is brick and mortar environment, and we can track their productivity and their daily activities. Now, what is in for agent? How do we keep them boosted? So what we created, or we thought, we conceptualized that we create an application which is there in the agent's mobile, which will keep triggering him the stats on his screen. If he's opening that application, he can get an alert like his break exceeded. He can get a pop-up that his that his AHT is higher. He can get a pop-up if they log out before the shift time, or even if they if their productivity is lower than the expected target. If he's supposed to handle 50 calls by that time and he's only handled 39 calls, his productivity is sitting at 77%. He knows I am losing on it, I need to gain on it, and I can quickly work on that and pick up more calls. So these kind of stats available for agent. He can check his previous historical stats, he can check his stats over the for the day. It will certainly give him insight. It will keep him engaged. Now, the architecture which we want to follow for this, there are multiple ACDs we have in the environment currently. We want to push the data entirely into one database, and then we move the processing into the processing system where it filters out everything and it pushes it into a web portal. Now, this web portal is accessible to all the accounts which are under this particular program. The account 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they can access this data, but they will only be able to see their own data. So that data privacy and the data security is there. They can view the data for account 1. Account 1 can view their data. Account 2 can view their data, and so on. Moving to the portability piece. Now, if I am a DP, I am an ops manager, I'm always on the move. I am, talking to my supervisor, my manager, my leader. How do I keep a track on my activities and, my team and my stats? What I can do, I have an application which is called Synergy in my mobile. I can quickly go into that. I can see what is happening right now. Now I see that service level is at X%. I click on that. I get to know what are the factors which is causing my service level to be at that particular stage, whether it is aux or adherence percentage or attendance or AHT, whatever it is. When I'm logged into the application, I see those particular specific type of data available to my screen. Now, once I know that, I can, quickly check the details of that data. I can click on that. I see that TL1 is providing me the higher HT. Once I click on the, WhatsApp kind of button or maybe other interface we want to introduce, we can just click on that and that TL1 will be notified that you are currently struggling on the HT, with target is, but with the other process, other team leaders are, trending around 150 to 200 seconds, you are at 300 seconds. So you need to basically control your target. Now, moving on to that, we also want to introduce that there should be a dashboard where we should, all the data, as I said, coming from different ACDs should be pushed into a web platform. Now, once the data is available on that web platform, everyone can access that. There will be a bootstrap technology which will ensure the data is available in similar format, whether it is open on a mobile, on a tablet, on a phone, on a different resolution phone, or a system, or a Mac, or maybe a Windows. It should look like it's, the data is same, and I am easily able to access the data through various filters I have available, and I should be able to get that alerts. Now there can be preset alerts which will, go to supervisors, TLs, AMs, DPs based on the process they are. Now, if I know a process, if they are missing the service level for past 3 intervals, I want that alert to go to the DP. That can be programmed into system. And that alert after missing 3 intervals will go to the DPE, which is a process leader. And that is how we can design the system, and we can build it in a way that everything is available on touch of a button, and everything is accessible to everyone who is, willing to access the system. The major portion of this is the major point I would like to highlight is the user rights management based on their spans. For a TL can check for his team, OM can check for all his TLs. So we want to ensure the data is kept segregated based on the process and the roles that have been defined. After doing all this activity, we designed this, we designed that, and everything, we have come to the solution. Now, I want to ask Sam, what do you think about it?
Hey, thank you so much for a wonderful process in place and making my work life easy and balanced. Thank you.
Great, Sam. So Sam is happy, his life is better, his work has reduced by so much of so much percentage, and he knows what he has to do further. He can spend his time in analytics, he can provide the information to the respective stakeholders, he can talk to them, he has so much of time with him. And we also anticipate that with all these things, our revenue can certainly increase by circa 6%, and cost can be decreased by 4% by various factors, by reducing the effort put in by an RTA guy, and also reducing the efforts which we are creating by creating overtime in the system due to various leakages and all. And at the end result, we get a better ENPS, we get a better CSAT, and we get a better client VOC. So that is how we conceptualize and visualize this. And with that, I would like to end this presentation, and over to you, judges, for the question.
Thank you, Atul. Now judges may have questions to Consultex Team A.
Hey guys, this is Jay. So is this something driven more as a concept, or some components of this you already have in play or working on as a team?
Thanks, Jay, for asking this question. So part of this is already in place, like the agent activity that we want to track, which is the agent tracking system. We have already implemented in a couple of processes. We are monitoring that benefit. And apart from that, the dashboarding process, which is the major thing which will come into picture, we have conceptualized, and we have talked to our internal and even the external stakeholders for that matter. They all are excited about it because they will be getting an access to the data on the go. So yes, so that is part of it is already there, and we have got the good feedback around it, and we are working on the next steps which we thought about it, which we presented today.
Hi, this is Raj here. Just to add on what Atul has shared, Jay. So Atul is right that some portion of this is already in place, and some we have capitalized when we have been working on this project with the hackathon team in this opportunity. I hope we have answered your question.
Do we have any more questions?
Yeah. So you are absolutely right. So this is a homegrown solution that we have created. For this, from a investment perspective, we need developers, which we have in our team itself. or you can say the KT of the knowledge transfer we have been doing frequently between amongst our team members with the different programs that we run. Point number one on this, and point number two on top of it, that we required server as well for the data storage and everything, which is already there with us. So that's it on this from my side. I hope I have answered your question. Yeah, you're right, sir. Your voice is a little far, but I understood that you're absolutely right. As Atul has shared and I have shared in the previous question, that 50% of his is already there, and rest of what we have been learned from the hackathon event, that we can do all these things, and thanks to the entire team and Abhishek, who has guided us in the right direction, and we want to implement this as soon as possible.
Exactly, and I want to really thanks this forum. It forced us to think, okay, we have reached one portion of the idea, what can be the next stage, and we built up on that, and we created this entire presentation around it. And I think it's endless. Today I might be showing 1 or 2 or 3 features that I want to introduce. If you talk to me after 15-20 days, there will be a phase 2 of this particular automation, and then phase 3 and 4. So it will keep improving and it will keep enhancing, and someday it will be a global tool implemented everywhere, every process, every organization. I'm pretty sure we want to take benefit of that, and we want to share that practice across the globe.
Raj, Atul, I must compliment the narrative that you have built across. I think great level of collaboration.
Thank you.
I think what is also from a provocative approach point of view, I think you have provoked the right level of stimulus. All the very best for your vision of taking it across, and I think I was happy to hear of the fact that Hackathon actually provoked all of you to come together and synergize your endeavor and effort.
Exactly, and this is what this is what we wanted to name our tool as, Synergy. So we want to synergize, we want to bring everything in the same platform. And thanks for your guidance and contribution on that. Thank you.
I don't have any other question at this stage. Just few comments.
All right, thank you, Concentrix team here. All the best to you.